Celebrating its bicentennial, the Rendezvous has been here well over one-third of Memphis's existence. But we're not a place to rest on our laurels or reputation. We're always trying to add new things to make our customers' experience more enjoyable. Friday lunches have always been special because we give away our red beans and rice. But we are now adding a sausage sandwich.
John, we first got a taste of it at the golf tournament.
It's the same sausage we serve on our cheese and sausage plate, but it will be served lengthwise on the bun with beans and slaw on the side. We've also partnered with a company called Devillet out of Dyersburg to introduce a new sweet glazed mustard with Rendezvous seasoning in it. It will really go great with a sandwich. I still recommend adding slaw. As I've mentioned before, my grandfather had a hot dog stand on Beale Street in 1916, and that's the same slaw he used. So here we are now 103 years later, and we've come full circle using his slaw on our hot dogs. Hope to see you this Friday at the Rendezvous.
In the alley in downtown Memphis.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also keep up to date with everything going on by keeping up with Sports 56 on social media. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch for information on breaking news, chances to win prizes, and video of all the shows. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Stay in touch with Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7 on social media. We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. It's time for Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. The first hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, and Brett Stats Norsworthy.
Good Wednesday afternoon, January 22nd, 2020. Tigers on the road tonight in Tulsa. Grizzlies on the road tonight in Boston. We've already had both of them winning on the same night this year. Win a complete season last year where it never occurred, and want to keep it going tonight in Tulsa and in Boston. Grizzlies in Boston, Tigers in Tulsa, and courtside tonight in Tulsa to call all the action for the hometown team. The Memphis Tigers, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, joins me now from T-Town. How are you, Dave?
I'm trying to stay warm. When I woke up this morning, we're staying at the Marriott Southern Hills, which is not too far from the famous Southern Hills golf course. And I awoke and I can see hills. I'm on the 9th floor, and what did I see? White.
Yes, sir.
First time in a long time. Snow. It's got a little bit warmer, but it is really a gloomy, rainy, cloudy,
Tulsa
like
gets
the
it all.
clouds packed in over the hills kind of a day. So hopefully some sunshine at Reynolds Arena later tonight.
Tulsa gets every extreme. They get every down of winter and every ounce of summer.
They do. But you know what? It's really a beautiful little town. We just took a ride right along the river, which they have done an unbelievable job of making parks along the river for miles, all the way from way out where we are in Southern Hills all the way to downtown. And I counted, I think, 15 bronze statues, and I don't know how many different playgrounds and fields and Frisbee golf thing. I mean, it's really an undertaking that is just a great civic thing that becomes a wonderful reason and an amenity to your town. And I know we've got Green Line and we've got that great Shelby Farms, along with obviously Overton Park. But those are the kind of things those are the kind of amenities that make you want to go live at a place.
Sure do. Green space and parks and things like that for big and small children alike. And my college roommate was from Tulsa. I spent a lot of time in Tulsa. I've called it the best small sports town in the country because the college football influence is heavy with all the different schools, very similar to our area. The college basketball, same thing. The pro influence now a little bit with Oklahoma City. It's kind of a split town on Major League Baseball loyalties. I don't know if it's split anymore. For a long time, it was a Cardinal town. Now it's a Rangers town. The football loyalties are Cowboys and Kansas City, and they have a big minor of over 125 years of minor league baseball with the Drillers or some variation of it. Great sports town and a great history with the University of Memphis through about every conference you can think of, dating back to Valley days. And I have thought a lot about Valley days, Missouri Valley days over the last 15, 16, 17 hours. with the celebrated incident last night from college basketball. But once upon a time in 1971, when the Tigers were in the Missouri Valley playing in Freedom Hall, and I really hate to bring up Fred Horton only in this sense, because Fred Horton is now in his 70s, distinguished man and coach and accomplished leader and civic-minded person. But anytime there is a chair incident, Fred the Chair Horton is remembered from that night with what was Vilcek's first name for Louisville. But he was going after him pretty good. Now, last night, I think calmer heads prevailed. Somebody kept him from swinging, but he had it locked and loaded.
That was an assistant coach. I will say this, since you bring it up, because it was one of the first things I thought about as well yesterday. Fred Horton actually had retired and is back.
Yeah.
And Fred is coaching at Whitehaven.
Yeah.
He replaced Faraji Phillips because he wanted to coach his grandson, and he's done an excellent job. I'd forgotten that he would be in his 70s, but he did. He's come back and he's coaching his grandkid, and it is a great story. Last night could have been an even worse story than it is, because if Silvio Sousa had struck somebody with that stool that he raised over his head, which a coach had come in and stopped him, I don't know what we would be talking about today, because that was truly an ugly scene. And I got to ask you this, too, because it also came into my mind. What if this were 2 or 3 years from now, and what if Silvio Sousa, and give me a big company in Kansas City, or the state of Kansas, that might have sponsored Silvio Sousa. Mm-hmm. How embarrassing is that company going to be if they get involved with a guy
and has
who
a bush,
that,
Purina?
Who basically hit somebody over the head with a chair, who already had made a jerk of himself by standing and taunting and then getting involved in this melee, and then accelerating it even more by picking up a chair. And if it hadn't been for the quickness of the coach to take it out of his hands, and literally he had to, who knows what we would be talking about today. But it is a very sobering thought. I know I saw Dickie B last night, who always seems to be on the side of more gentler things. He said the kid should never put on a uniform again. Now, I don't know if it should be that penal, but it should come close. And it seems to me it'll be interesting. What will the NCAA do with a Kansas team that seems to always get away with murder? And we can go back to 2008.
Bill Self always seems to get away with it, but he was very contrite last night. Said he was very embarrassed, and it was embarrassment for the program. Dave, I had just turned that game on. I was busy with other stuff, and I turned it on literally about 40 seconds before it all unfolded, and I was watching it live. And then if you had any device on earth, you've seen it since then from last night at Fog Allen Arena. It's been, and it'll be shown over and over and over, and it merits that. It's that big. It's that big a story. You know what Fred Horton's punishment was in the day, don't you?
I do not remember.
Nothing.
Wow.
Nothing. It was really just everybody go back to their business and move on.
I don't think that'll be the case this time. He's already been suspended indefinitely, and there are cries for a lot worse. And part of that problem is for Silvio Sousa is that he's the guy. He's the guy that was given a 2-year ban, and then the NCAA sort of relinquished and cut that ban, I believe, to just the 1 year, right? So they made him eligible this year. So he's already been given ground here. He's fortunate to be able to play the game, and the next thing you know, this is what he does. And so I'm certain there will be some that think that the penalties should be harsher because he was granted this exception and blew it.
I'm really torn, Dave. I'm really torn on. I know the deterrent. I know to kind of nip it in the bud. We really cleaned up leaving the bench area and fighting college basketball after the 80s got really rough and tumble, mostly in the Big East. But college basketball cleaned it up. I mean, you just hardly ever see an incident now. I think it stands out more now when we have the very rare incident like last night. But I know the best punishment is probably over the top, the deterrent to scare the you-know-what out of everybody else. But when I think about back in the day, we just went on, and that was at Louisville, at Freedom Hall, in a big rivalry, in a blowout, frustrating loss in years that Coach Bartow was trying to get this program back established after some lean Moaba years. And Fred Horton was a great player and instrumental in that, and is a wonderful man. And I'm sorry that 50 years later that comes up almost first with him. That's a shame, and it will with the Kansas player also. But David, it wasn't anything approaching what happened with Minnesota and Ohio State in the 70s with Ron Behagen.
No.
And I mean,
Dave Winfield was involved in that.
Dave Winfield was involved in it. Can you imagine that big joker throwing a big looping haymaker at somebody?
And wasn't Kevin McHale involved in that too?
No. It was before McHale. He was more late 70s than early 70s. But Bill Musselman was the head coach of Minnesota at the time. Eric Musselman's dad. It ruined Fred Taylor's career. That was the end of him at Ohio State. And it was guys leaving there with broken jaws. And I think some charges came out of that. If he had struck somebody with the chair last night, there would have been charges.
Yes. No, I think that is the case. And then I don't want to dismiss the big kid David McCormack too. He was in that. His number is 33, and he got into it with a kid that I initially thought might have just been a student, but I think it was a transfer who's ineligible that was sitting at the end of the bench, and he went down to protect his guy whom D'Souza was standing over, and then there were punches thrown with him and D'Souza, and then this big guy McCormack came in, and they pushed that kid to the ground by the railing over there where the wall is, and you can see McCormack stomps on his chest with his right leg.
Yeah.
It was interesting. I listened to Bill Self a little bit. I think it was last night. This is before today, and the announcement that D'Souza was the one guy so far suspended indefinitely. But he was saying that basically the technical was on D'Souza, and then the other four players on the floor were good, but everybody else on his team was now guilty of leaving the bench. So
clearly,
and that's true. So if that is the case, how many of their kids have to sit out the next game? And guess who the next game is?
Tennessee.
The University of Tennessee
in the
SEC Big 12 Challenge. What a break for the Vols.
Potentially a big break for the Vols, who won by 25 last night, and it wasn't that close in Knoxville over Ole Miss. Dave Wolo on the road with the Tigers Day. We've got a lot of college basketball to talk. It's that time of year, and with last night's events, we sure will get to it at 3:30. Normally we visit with Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News at 4, but he will be with us at 3:30. TJ Reeves will be with us at 4 today. We will go to Waco, Texas, to ESPN Radio in Waco and visit with Craig Smoke. Craig's been on with me a couple of times about the Cowboys, about Baylor football. We will talk about Baylor basketball, #1 in the country. And at 5 o'clock, Jason Munns from the Commercial Appeal will join us from Tulsa, where he will be preparing to cover the game tonight. We'll wrap it up with Taco Bell Crunch Time. We're in our Family Leisure Studios, where family and fun come together. Help Family Leisure make room for the incoming inventory. Save thousands on all floor model spas, floor model play gyms up to 50% off, patio furniture 10 to 50% off. Don't wait until May to purchase your swimming pool. Buy now and get scheduled for spring installation. Be first on the list at Family Leisure. Additional discounts on all swimming pools, grills, fire pits, outdoor kitchens, anything you need for the great outdoors. And we're going to get there soon. You can get there now at Family Leisure, 2120 Witten Road, just north of I-40. So Tulsa, #1 in the American, just like we all had it on the 22nd of January. Right, Dave?
Well, just like all those prognosticators are really the coaches of the American when they did their preseason poll, where they put the Golden Hurricane 10th. So we're all wrong, at least so far. And this is an interesting proposition for the University of Memphis because they play a zone, and they usually fool people with zones. But did you know that the University of Memphis against zones plays better. They are 59% more efficient field goal percentage-wise against zones to the 48% that they are when they play man-to-man. Their turnovers are down like 2% when they play against a zone than they are when they play against a man-to-man. So maybe this will play into their hands. Last year, the Star against the Golden Hurricane in the two games they played, which they split, was Tyler Harris. He had 18 in one game, 16 in the other, so he averaged 17 points because they played his zone. I got a feeling this could be a night where Tyler Harris maybe breaks his career record.
Maybe so. Did you see how Dave did those averages on that 18 and 16, Drew? That was pretty crafty, wasn't it?
That was pretty good.
Way to go, Dave.
I'm quick with math now. Come on, you know that.
Well, this hour brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Give them a call at 901-362-8833. Lexus of Memphis offering the Golden Opportunity January into February sales event. The way to start 2020. Great offers on all the 2020 models, the very ones and twos remaining of 2019s, and always special lease options. If you've ever thought I'd look great in a Lexus, well, guess what? Lexus of Memphis thinks you would look great in one of their beautiful cars as well. Drive in luxury and confidence, knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of an all-new 2020 flagship LS500, and you'll be driving in style. Lexus of Memphis, the very high standards in the industry. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design that makes for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Call them at 901-362-8833. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Dave?
Well, I'm gonna say the top story of the day is baseball, buddy. Derek Jeter and Larry Walker get into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Jeter missed by one vote, 396 out of 397, to joining his teammate Mariano Rivera of being the only unanimous choices in the history of baseball. So only one. It's Rivera by the one vote. I'm not sure what the rationale was by the voter who dissented. I would imagine if he goes back and he says to himself, well, Babe Ruth, because that's usually the argument if Babe Ruth didn't get in. But you know what?
But Babe ain't walking through the door.
What now?
Babe's not walking through the door, though, voter.
No, you know the other guy that always really got me that I thought should have been the first one
Sandy
in.
Koufax.
It's ridiculous that Babe didn't get in, but how did George Brett not get in?
Willie Mays.
Willie Mays.
Hank Aaron.
Yeah, I mean, so if that's the rationale, maybe I understand. But I think it's time to realize that there are people that are destined for the Hall, and this guy, 396 of the 397 thought so. I don't know what the other guy was thinking for sure. And I'm happy for Larry Walker because there were a lot of people who did not think he would get to the 75% minimum. He got it by 1.6%, 76.6. So he's the seventh player to get in on what would have been their final try.
I'm at the buzzer for Larry Walker from way downtown.
Yeah. You know what else I love about this? He's the only Canadian except for
Ferguson Jenkins.
Fergie to get into Baseball Hall of Fame being a native Canadian. I knew you'd know that. I'm setting the table for you, buddy.
Thank you, Dave. I love the assist from you. And last night on the Baseball Network, it was great. And Bob Costas, of course, with the best line of the night. He said on a ballot on a day that Derek Jeter missed by one vote to get in with 100% of the vote with unanimity, somebody voted for Brad Penny and he got one vote. Who voted for Brad Penny? Come on.
That's funny.
I mean, why are you voting for Brad Penny? There was somebody else on there that got one vote that I thought, what a total waste. Now, the voter, a lot of the baseball media, the grand poobahs of the press box, and remember, they own the press box because the Baseball Writers Association of America, and they will tell you in a second that you're really in our press box with at our best wishes, mostly maybe. They're really defending people going after the voter. They're saying Don't shame him. Don't play into the witch hunt or follow him. Here, it's no witch hunt. Here's where that term witch hunt came from. There were no witches. There's actually a voter here that did not vote for Derek Jeter, so it is not a witch hunt. We're hunting for the one dope that didn't vote for him.
Right.
My top story:
yeah.
Massive brawl with a raised chair with a second left between KU and K-State, and it's reverberated across sports today. Jeff Long always seems to find himself in trouble, doesn't he? I don't know if he finds it or it finds him, but Jeff Long usually at the bottom of it. Bill Self called the melee an embarrassment. Well, at least we know Bill Self can be embarrassed. I'm glad we got to that level. Dick Vitale, Jay Billis, and all the college basketball chieftains say KU player and players should be done for the year. If leaving the bench area really matters, then here's what should happen to both of them Saturday. They forfeit. Their next game, they forfeit. They can't field a team.
I would not be for that. I would be for staggering those penalties, and that's been done before. Where 2 or 3 guys, so there's 10 guys that came off the bench that aren't going to be eligible if you had 15 on your roster. And then so 3 guys for the next 3 games, stagger them, and they don't get to play. Or if it's 2 games, do it in 2-game increments. However long the penalty is. I don't think you penalize the team you're going to play.
The whole team participating.
By handing them a W. That just, to me, is not that's not the right thing in the fair sense of competition.
What sends the bigger impact? That it's staggered, or man, we better not ever leave the bench again. The whole team got punished for it, and we got an L.
You got an L from this. You should get pretty much an L for this game. Maybe you didn't. You get the W. I just don't think that something that happened really and truly after the game is going to affect your next game.
Dave. In fact, they came out and played the last second because, as Fran Fraschilla described it on the broadcast, Vegas demands it now with the betting influence on all these games. It has to be a completed game. It was not after the game. It was very much during the game.
There was I know there were technical shot. I thought that the block came at the end of the ball game with zeros on the clock.
No, sir.
If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
You are wrong. They came back out and played it, and Fran Fraschilla described why they did it.
Not top story of the day.
Well, for me, that is the story, and I don't understand how Kansas always gets away clean. You got Bill Self on FBI tape. You got the NCAA snooping all the time. You've got the Darrell Arthur thing, which maybe I'm still bitter about, where they played a player that clearly was in violation of NCAA rules, a fraudulent transcript, which is in evidence, and nothing happened to them, and accusations that Derrick Rose didn't take a test and was cleared by the NCAA for doing so, and Memphis vacates games. It goes back for a long time in the Bill Self regime.
It does.
I know this guy is a good coach, but there is just too much stuff underneath the surface with him that he somehow gets away with, and to me, it is a bad story and a bad look.
So you want to see Bill Self finally splattered, don't you?
I would like to see him exposed.
Okay, then his entire team is suspended, and they must forfeit their next game, regardless who it's against. That's pretty much splattering. My top story, Illinois guard Alan Griffin. He won the timing award of the year last night. He was ejected from a game against Purdue after stepping on the chest of a Purdue player. He should be tossed for the year, just like the melee in Lawrence last night. If we're serious about this, then let's see the penalties from it really be tough. If we're not,
is that what you really think should happen, or is that just you're making an example?
Making an example, and the deterrent factor will work. If they see a pall cast on their career and their season and their reputation from this, I bet you they won't do it again. If they do, then they do it eyes wide open, knowing the penalty phase of it. I guess they could.
What that kid did was awful, and he should have been dismissed. It was the same exact thing that Christian Laettner did years ago, and nothing happened to him. Now we have more TV replay.
Name the Kentucky
and we
player.
are much more conscious of it. Yeah.
Name the Kentucky
However,
player.
that kid was taken out of the game. He did not get to play anymore. He's going to be ostracized because that video is going to be on there forever.
He got kicked out of the game.
Yeah, he did. He got kicked out of the game, and he probably should. He should probably miss a game or two. But I wouldn't kick this kid out for the rest of the year. He didn't pick up a chair.
Name the Kentucky player for lunch tomorrow that Leitner stepped on.
You know, I really should know this because it was mentioned last night, and I can't. That's how terrible this is. I cannot remember.
Aminu Timberlake.
Aminu Timberlake. Yeah, that's correct.
Dave's in Tulsa.
You knew darn well I wasn't going to get that.
Dave's in Tulsa, and Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News. He will be with us next, and we want you to be a part of our show. You can watch us live and message us at Sports 56 WHBQ on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Periscope, and YouTube. You are listening to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats on Real Sports Talk, AM 560, 96.1, and 87.7.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? Well, we have you covered at Humdinger's. It's quick and it's healthy, and most important, it tastes amazing. With many choices from salmon salad to rainbow trout and grilled asparagus. Come visit us for lunch at Humdinger's, 6300 Poplar Avenue. So good, Coach Penny eats with us weekly. Don't forget, Humdinger's offers full-service catering for weddings, social events, or your corporate lunches. You can call 901-260-8292 to find out more.
Farmers Insurance knows that there's a not-so-subtle difference between the sound of a car hitting your rear bumper and the sound of a clown car hitting your rear bumper.
Whoa, 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 whoa! Sorry about that.
We call that a three-ring fender bender, and we covered it. Talk to a farmer's agent.
They know a thing or two because they've seen a thing or two.
Call Chad Gatlin at 901-235-1176 or get a fast quote at memphisfarmers.com.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
The Vault on G.E. Patterson in South Main downtown has all your game day needs with 30 TVs. If your game is not on one of the 20 big screens, then sit in a booth with your own remote. The Vault has game day specials on pitchers, buckets of beer, and great food, which is the best thing about the Vault. This is not your normal sports bar. Chef Dirk Meitzler from On Tour and Cafe 621 has all his favorites like Chicken Newport and his new lobster enchilada. Open for lunch and dinner every day with lunch specials for $12 weekdays with a drink. The Vault on G.E. Patterson in South Main, your downtown place to eat, drink, and watch the game.
DeSoto Auto Sales specializes in late model cars with low mileage. They have the highest standards in the car industry. All of their cars are test-driven, checked out from head to toe, unlimited inventory, every make and model. And if it's not on the lot, they'll find it for you. Walk in the door of DeSoto Auto Sales, 5704 Goodman Road. Within 45 minutes, you can test your car, get credit approval, and finish paperwork within an hour. No shortcuts at DeSoto Auto Sales. Kind, courteous employees, a down-home environment. DeSoto Auto Sales cares about your time. Lowest prices in a 350-mile radius. We're living in a world today where time does matter. Visit them online. Check out their referrals. DeSotoAutosales.com. Very proud to serve DeSoto County and other surrounding areas. DeSoto Auto Sales, 5704 Goodman Road. Call 662-890-7184. 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto Auto Sales.
Make your day smoking with the Big Green Egg. You can smoke, bake, roast, sear, and grill, all with a lifetime warranty. Ceramic never rusts, and the easy, accurate temperature control gives you the greatest range of any grill. Make your next grill your last with the Big Green Egg. Available at these nearby locations: Hamilton Fireplace Shop, 4462 Summer Avenue; Germantown Hardware Company, 2083 South Germantown Road; Garden Spas and Pool, 9393 Poplar Avenue; and East Memphis Ace Hardware, 5143 Quince Road.
Got something you want to get off your chest?
You better have a backup plan.
Want to join the conversation?
Someone needs to tell him he has to grow up.
Join us on the First Bank phone lines at 360-8255 or the First Bank text line at 67129. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
We think we're going to catch up with Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News. He's going to join us a little early today, and then TJ Reeves will join us at 4 o'clock. Craig Smoke from ESPN Radio in Baylor, home of the number 1 ranked men's basketball team, the Baylor Bears, joins us about 4:30, and Jason Munn's courtside in Tulsa on the beat for the commercial appeal covering the Tigers tonight for Tigers and Tulsa. That's where Dave is located. 8 o'clock tip. Looking forward to this game. We talked about it, Dave. Tulsa right now ranked number 1 in the AAC with Frank Haith. He's never been to a Sweet 16, but he always lands on his feet, doesn't he?
He does. I mean, he started his journey with Miami and then went to Missouri and got new life here. And he's won 107 games in 6 years here. But like you say, he's not really had a whole lot of postseason success. He does have he's a sharp guy when it comes to defenses. He plays the zone defense that is different. It kind of keeps changing on you as it goes. Not many people play this sort of thing, and it's hard to adjust to. And you were talking earlier about how far back this goes with Memphis to the Missouri Valley with Tulsa. It's a 48th meeting, so quite a few. And Memphis has had the better of them, 29-18, and even in Tulsa they are 10-9. But since they've gotten into the American, Memphis has never beaten Tulsa here in this league. And I don't think Penny, as a player or a coach, has ever won a game in Tulsa.
Huh. I did not know. I did not realize that. Yeah. He goes way back. Willie Biles was a great player from Memphis and was a star for Tulsa in the early 70s when they were Missouri Valley combatants, and now they are American Athletic Conference rivals. We go to Indianapolis, to the home of Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News Radio. Mike's also an analyst on Big Ten Network and Fox College basketball. Mike, good afternoon to you. You can follow Mike on Twitter at TSN Mike. Good afternoon, Mike. How are you?
Stats, how you doing?
Great, man. We got Dave. We got Dave with us in Tulsa and the talk of college basketball. Sadly, is the incident last night in Lawrence. I said the luckiest player today was Alan Griffin for Illinois. He won the timing award.
That is great. Yes. Even the similarity to Christian Laettner can't get him on the front page after what happened in Lawrence.
Somewhere Amanu Timberlake is thinking, what about me?
Well, that was it was obviously not a great situation last night, but I do think that we can sometimes go a bit overboard with basketball fights. When we see the same thing play out in hockey or in baseball, people don't lose their minds in the same way as they do in basketball, and I'm not sure exactly why that is.
Is it because of the proximity of the fans to a basketball fight, and even that area last night? I know the youngsters weren't conscious of this, but as has been described, some of that area was for disabled seating area. I mean, and the brawl in Detroit, got into the stands. Is it because of that? And I brought that very point up to Drew before we came on today. Most baseball fights the next day are met with, gentle elbows to the ribs of the other guy going, man, I had a good old melee last night in baseball. It's never that reaction in basketball.
Yeah, I think that has the proximity has something to do with it. I think it also has to do with the relative absence of clothing. The fact that the players are basically in tank tops and shorts, and I think that amplifies the visual for the viewer, and I think that people look at it that way and see see more see more brute force involved than they do with like a hockey players, with two hockey players or more going at it. Almost on a nightly. I mean, fights don't happen as much as they used to, but they're still pretty common, or certainly not uncommon. And the whole teams getting together in scrums is a nightly basis. That happens if there's 8 hockey games in a night. That happens in one of them, and so I do think that plays a role in it. There's a glass and plywood protective barrier between the fans of hockey and the hockey players, whereas in basketball, they're right there. And in this case, they were right there.
Right there in the lap.
In hockey, if I could play devil's advocate here, In hockey, you're in the middle of the ice, you drop your gloves, and when one guy hits the ice, the referee step in, fight is over. In this melee, Sylvia De Sousa picked up a chair, a stool,
yes,
raised it over his head, and Lord knows what would have happened if he hit somebody, but thank goodness an assistant coach literally grabbed it from him before any further damage could be done. That, I think, is the difference, plus which this was in the middle of a crowd of people. It was not in the middle of the playing field where nobody else could be affected. Taking all that into account, Mike, what sort of penalty should De Sousa get? He got suspended indefinitely, I guess, after there'll be some consultation with maybe the NCAA, certainly the conference, and with Bill Self, they'll come up to some sort of reasonable thing. I heard Dick Vitale say he should be suspended forever. To me, that's a little bit too much. I've heard other people say 10. What do you think is a reasonable game suspension for Silvio De Sousa?
I think 10 is a good number. That seems reasonable to me. But I don't think that he should be the only one that. Remember that this all started in part because it's the initial altercation, which occurred because a Kansas State player stole the ball when Kansas stopped playing. They were basically just standing there dribbling out the final second. And for the second time this year, the first time it was kind of funny and kind of goofy when a player from Monmouth did it, and then the Kansas State player did it, and I think he thought that maybe, he was going to make a statement, and Silvio said, no, you're not making a statement tonight. And then he stood over him and taunted him. And, and I hear people saying, well, see, he shouldn't have done that. And I'm like, okay, so that's a technical foul. All right, that's a technical foul. And that's the beginning and the end of it. If the players who are on the adjacent bench, which happens to be K-State's bench, don't come onto the floor at the end there, and it becomes a thing. If it's, did Silvio deserve a technical foul for standing over and taunting the guy whose shot he blocked? Heck yeah, he did. I got no problem with that. But to say that initiated what happened is ludicrous, because it would have just been a technical foul if there aren't suddenly a bunch of players who don't have business on the floor at that point on the floor and making this a thing. So I don't think that one can trace this to either Silvio or the player who stole the ball. Again, that all happens in hoops. Guys get technical fouls. Even last night, the one Brett was joking about that happened in the Illinois Purdue game. The guy stepped on the other guy's chest. He got thrown out, and that was the end of it. I mean, and if it would have been a thing if players from the adjacent bench, although at that point that was the Illinois bench, if they had come off the floor there, then we would have had a problem. But they didn't, because that's not what's done. And so I think that people keep focusing on Silvio's suspension, and it should be substantial. But I also think that something needs to happen to the people who came off the bench, entered the field of play, even though the time was up, and made this something more than a technical foul.
Well, technically, that has occurred, because according to what Bill Self said after the game last night, the referees told him that there was a technical foul on De Sousa, and that everybody else on his team, other than the 4 other players that were on the floor, would be given penalties for leaving the bench and entering the floor during the game. I don't know how many Kansas State players would be involved as well, but isn't that an automatic game suspension for leaving the bench?
Leaving the bench and getting involved in an altercation is supposed to be an automatic suspension, yes. So we'll see. But, again, if we're going to hold De Sousa to a higher standard here, I think that what developed is beyond just the automatic. I think it as was the case in the Cincinnati Xavier fight in 2011, where there were, I believe, 3 players from Cincinnati who were suspended 6 games, and there were, I believe, 3 from Xavier who were suspended 4 games. I think this goes beyond if you're going to carry De Sousa beyond the game suspension he'd get for throwing punches, which he apparently did, and which I believe you should do, I don't think that it should stop at a single game for the players who escalated this to what it became.
Mike,
the kid from Illinois,
yeah,
who did stepped on the chest of the player. He got ejected. Does he get more than just the end of that game, or does he get another game or two for that egregious act? Which, by the way, in the past, nothing has happened. If we go back to the Duke Kentucky game,
are you choosing particular instances by any chance?
1992.
Yeah.
For me, I would say that what happened was sufficient because it wasn't. In this case, it was early in the game. I believe we were about a quarter of the way, halfway through the first half. So he was out for a long period of time in that game. And so I would say that an ejection was sufficient. Now, if Illinois decided to take it beyond that, I mean, that's their program. They can do whatever they want. But from a broader perspective, conference, I don't think it's necessary. I think he got a pretty severe penalty and one that he certainly warranted. When I saw it, I was dumbfounded. Alan Griffin's a really good kid and a really improved player, and has had a very nice run as Illinois has improved. And I didn't think there was anything that would have warranted at that stage of the game the action that he took. It was very surprising, but absolutely, I thought the refs handled it great. They looked at it, boom, he was gone. He should have been, and that's enough for me. And now, whether it's enough for the Big Ten, we'll see.
Mike, a bunch of ifs here, but Tennessee's set to go to Fog Allen Saturday to play in the Big 12 SEC Challenge. So there were 4 players that were not ejected, and they were the ones on the floor, so they would be eligible. Somebody in Kansas uniforms will play Saturday. Would they have to go to the rec league and find personnel?
If indeed, let's just say, and I can't be sure because it became very confusing who all was there. But even if all 7 players, say, from Kansas, this is strictly theoretical, had entered the floor and got involved in that, they can stagger those suspensions so that a competition can be conducted. If it's if you had 7 players that needed to be suspended, they can make it so that that's staggered: 2 players here, 2 players there, 2 players there, or 3 and 3, whatever. They can do that. There is a precedent for that sort of thing. So I don't think any. I know there's some intramural guys, some superstar in the frat league thinking if this is his chance, but I don't think that'll be the case.
And he has a headband on. And he's ready to go.
Absolutely.
We're visiting with Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News and Fox College Hoops and the Big Ten Network. Go ahead, Dave.
Mike, I'm curious. We had our 7th new number 1 in the AP poll. I think that ties a record. So this is a 2-part question for you. One, to get there, Baylor had to go over Gonzaga, which beat BYU by like 20-something. Do you think that's fair? And second, will we get a record? Could there be an 8th like San Diego State or Florida State? Do you foresee that coming?
Well, I'll be stunned if Baylor gets through the if Baylor gets through the Big 12 without losing, even though they're very good. It's just the league is very solid, and I think they're very good, but I don't think they're impregnable. So I'll be really surprised if that happens. Now, if that happened, I don't know how this count thing works. Like, if Gonzaga were the team that went back, would that be an 8th, or does it have to be a different
I don't
identity?
think so. No. I think it's got to be an entirely different team.
Got to be a different school. So you have to have the Zags lose, too, which I know there are a lot of people out there who automatically assume, well, they're in they're in the West Coast Conference, so they're not losing. That's not true. I mean, think back a year ago, they had Clark, they had Hachimura, they had Norvell, and they went into the Mountain West Conference tournament and lost to a lesser St. Mary's team. This is an excellent Gonzaga team. It's not as gifted as that one was. And so, and the BYU at home is a real bear, and they played well at Gonzaga over the weekend. Just faded in the end, and they didn't have Yoli Child, who warmed up, but they deemed wasn't quite ready to play yet. And so they should have him by then. And I do believe that the Zags still have to go to St. Mary's. So I don't think they're going to make it through unscathed. So there's a chance we'll get a different team up there. Seton Hall maybe, San Diego State, maybe. No, Michigan State had started it, so if they came
They've
back,
already
it
been
wouldn't
one,
be
yeah.
them. So
Right.
I don't know, maybe even Dayton. Wouldn't that be something?
It would be.
Because
Yeah.
I don't see them losing many.
Dayton would be fun. Mike, thank you. It's been fun with you today. Enjoy the basketball, and we'll do it again next Wednesday. Be safe in your travels. Thank you.
All right, fellas.
Thank you,
thanks.
Mike.
Good luck out in Tulsa.
You got it. Mike DeCourcy with us from the Sporting News, from Fox College Hoops, from the Big Ten Network, and he's brought to you by the Memphis Tourism and Sports Council. We saw the big crowds on Bill during the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. We see them on a great summer evening when the barbecue is smoking and the Blues, they don't miss a beat. Did you know that peak season for visitors to Memphis and Shelby County typically runs from March through October, when we welcome more than 1 million visitors each month to Memphis? Add it all up throughout the year, in the home of blues, soul, and rock and roll, we welcome nearly 12 million visitors every year with annual year-over-year gains. How do you like those stats? I like them a lot. Memphis Tourism and the Memphis Sports Council, a winning combination. Dave, are you with me until the top of the hour?
I am, and I did want to add one more thing since you talked about that Memphis Sports Council. Tomorrow is a luncheon that, and unfortunately I'm not going to be able to make it because we're shooting the Melissa McFerrin TV show, but there is a luncheon tomorrow, and it's all because of the Memphis Sports Council that they are starting the discussions for the Memphis Sports Hall of Fame, class number 2.
Class number 2.
So they do so many good things.
Sure do.
Kevin Kane's group, Melvin Gibson, and Pierre Landesh, and all those guys, they do so many good things for this city.
Class number 2 after that blockbuster inaugural class last year, and soon to have the Hall of Fame located at AutoZone Park. We come back. Dave with us from Tulsa, round out our number 1. Hour 2 begins with our friend TJ Reeves. You're listening to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats on AM 560, 96.1, and 87.7.
Sports 56 mornings with Peter Edmiston and CJ Hertz. Weekdays from 7 to 10. Only on Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7 FM.
The folks at Homer Skelton Hyundai want to say thank you. Thank you, Memphis, for another spectacular year. They set records, but I can understand why. You think about the product. Where else do you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty? That's what you get on every new car at Homer Skelton Hyundai. Oh, and thank you again for the 11th straight year, the #1 certified pre-owned car dealership in all of Memphis. It starts with that product, but then it goes to the shopper assurance. Where else do you go where you get transparent pricing, flexible test drive, take the car for a couple of days if you want, streamlined buying process? You're not going to be there all day, in and out. And then, and I have not seen this anywhere else, the 3-day worry-free exchange. You buy a new car, if you've got any buyer's remorse, you've got 3 days to change your mind. Just get on Lamar, take it into Mississippi, the first exit's Craft Road, turn left, and go see Chris True and all the gang at Homer Skelton Hyundai.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
And the coach calls timeout.
Wait a minute. You can't call timeout when you have leaks and Mother Nature is roaring through your home.
A technical foul from outer space may be in order.
Don't know about that, but we can measure your roof from outer space at BrianElderRoofing.com.
So if you need repairs or wondering if you think you may have a claim,
call me before you call your insurance company. And we've got 0% interest for 60 months with approved credit. We won't try to sell you a new roof if all you need is a repair.
My friend Chris Price, a longtime donor of the U of M. Call him, 867-0303 or BrianElderRoofing.com.
God bless America, Penny and Mike, and go Tigers.
And now back to the game.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing
Heater trouble? Make your first call your last call. Call Air Doctors of Memphis, 901-598-HVAC. Owner Matt Davis is a third-generation full-service air conditioning and heating specialist. Air Doctors of Memphis services all major brands, and labor and parts are guaranteed 100%. Their special winter price for a heater tune-up is just $59, and 24-hour service is billed at normal rates. Your comfort is their highest priority. Contact AirDoctorsOfMemphis.com or call 901-598-HVAC.
Hey everybody, this is Coach Penny Hardaway. There's a comfort in being home, and to me, comfort food and family makes Memphis the place to be, along with having the best basketball fans in America. I like pulling into Corky's and getting one of their family party packs. How can you go wrong with pork, beans, slaw, sauce, and buns for only $5.99 a person? It is so easy. I can call ahead, order online, or just pop in. Tailgating can't get any easier. Tell them Penny sent you.
Encore flavor, Corky's barbecue.
Hi, fellas. Bill Russell at Russell Brothers Jewelers, and I want to thank all of you who came to see us at Russell Brothers so that Christmas would be special for your lady. Thank you for the confidence and trust that so many of you have placed in Russell Brothers for over 35 years, and we are going to work even harder in 2020 to let you know how important you are. Whether you just need a $7 battery or a $10,000 diamond ring, you will receive the very best in beauty and quality, the very best in service and value. Our exquisite gemstones, our fashionable designs, our huge array of fine jewelry will dazzle you and will help make you a hero in her eyes. Our warmest wish for you is a healthy and prosperous 2020, and when you want to let her know how very special she is, we invite you to come see us at Russell Brothers Jewelers, 4646 Poplar at Perkins. After all, doesn't she deserve the very best?
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stacks. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Quickly back out to Tulsa for the last remaining minutes of this first hour. While we have Dave, give us a couple keys tonight, something early that would set the tone for the Tigers' success.
Well, yeah, the first thing is you got to figure out that zone. And Memphis, as I mentioned earlier, is actually better against the zone than they've been man-to-man. This is a little different thing. And then you got to limit turnovers. I'm figuring it like this. Memphis is averaging, which, by the way, this number is the 9th worst in all of the NCAA. That's how bad these turnovers have become, 17 a game. So that's 17 opportunities to shoot the ball. Out of those 17 opportunities, you're talking about 4 or 5 that you would probably get an offensive rebound with which you'd have another chance, because Memphis does a good job of offensive rebounding on a percentage of their possessions. So I'm going to add another 4 to 5. So you're talking about 21 to 22 possession or shots.
Good point.
You don't get if you keep turning the ball over.
That's it.
So you've got to cut down on that all year long. That has to be something that is critical. And then this Tulsa team is not a good shooting team. They're from outside, from 3-point range, they only average about 5 3/4. They shoot 31%. They actually only shoot 27% in league games. So they got to go inside to score. If your perimeter defense is good and you force them to shoot outside, I think you got a good shot.
great analysis, Dave. You're ready for the game tonight, obviously, and
I am.
And the Tigers. I hope they're as ready as you are. It's still a little too early in a season for this to be. This is your team, but we're getting closer and closer to that. And road games, really, for good or for ill, the strengths manifest and the weaknesses manifest as well out on the road. Tigers and Tulsa tonight at 8:00. Dave, I know you gotta get out of here.
Just one more thought,
Okay.
real quick. This is a quad 2 game, so they got to win. But off the subject, and maybe a topic for tomorrow. We'll see tonight the way things play out. This is the debut of Zion against the Spurs, right?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever seen more hype for a debut for a guy? I really. Maybe LeBron.
Maybe
and that's about it.
Maybe LeBron, and I don't blame them. Ratings have sagged a little, and they wanted this kind of oomph on opening night in October. Who knows? It could play out to the NBA's benefit with this. It's going to be a fun night of basketball with the Grizzlies a little bit earlier than Zion, then the Tigers. So plenty for the viewer, but I know you'll be working. You'll be busy. It'll be a late night, but you're back in here tomorrow with us.
Here is my fear. My fear is that because he's going to get so much attention, if the Pels start to make a move and make the playoffs, and he's really good, say he averages 18-8.
We got a competition.
Or better.
Yeah.
Then he can still steal Rookie of the Year away from Ja.
He sure could. And
that's my fear. Because let's face it, when it comes to National Pub, no one's going to beat this kid if he's really the real deal.
He's not, but Ja Morant's got about 3 months head start on him. We'll see if
He
that's
does.
enough, and maybe it will be. I think guard play will be big tonight for the Tigers and for the Grizzlies on the parquet in Boston, and for the Tigers in Tulsa. Dave, have a good one. We'll visit with you tomorrow.
You got it. I'll be here. I'll be there in studio. Thank you, buddy.
You got it. Dave Wolo on the road with the Tigers, a longtime voice of the Tigers, and a big one tonight against Tulsa, a longtime opponent. That history in Tulsa through all these years of Tigers, 100 years of Tigers glorious basketball. Don't forget the games with Oral Roberts there and other places with ORU, and NCAA tournaments often would find the Tigers kind of swinging through Tulsa or that part of the world a lot of years. So a really rich history of Tiger basketball on display tonight. Need that win. I don't think Frank Haith is a very good coach. I think he's been just ahead of being in trouble at all three places. Well, 2 places, and probably a third one now at Tulsa, at Miami, and at Mizzou. Never been to a Sweet 16, and I don't think he's going to one this year, and I don't think after tonight they'll be first in the AAC. TJ Reeves, he's up next to start hour number 2. You're listening to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats on Real Sports Talk, AM 560, 96.1 and 87.7.
It's free furnace time. Hi, this is John Conway with Conway Services. Are you considering replacing your air conditioning system this spring? Well, January is one of our slowest months of the year. Our warehouse is full and our crews are slow. So to spark business during the cold winter months, Conway Services is giving away Carrier 80% gas furnaces absolutely free with the purchase of a standard Carrier air conditioning system. That's right, purchase a Carrier air conditioning system in the month of January and get a gas furnace absolutely free. That's up to $2,000 in savings. And if that's not enough, we'll include an April air cleaner, a 10-year parts warranty, and a free Nest thermostat. Plus, get your new system for as low as $114 per month or 12 months interest-free. Now, you could do that. And you know with Conway Services, you'll be receiving our award-winning service every time. So call Conway Services, the Mid-South's premier heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric service company. And the first 30 callers with a 10-year-old heating system, we'll come out and inspect it absolutely free.
384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
You're scrambling around. You need a haircut. Where you gonna go? I got a place that has 15 locations. I've got a place where details matter. I've got a place that can be invigorating and relaxing at the same time. You know what it is. It's Supercuts. Every haircut ends with the signature hot towel finish. Every haircut matters. When you're getting ready, you go into Supercuts. The stylist will pay attention to every detail. So you get the haircut you want, and, of course, you're going to finish with that signature hot towel. You walk out clean, sharp, and not just ready, but super ready. And you might want to ask that hairstylist about what the tea tree experience is. One part invigorating, one part relaxing. The tea tree experience is something you need to try. 15 locations. I mentioned that, didn't I? All you've got to do is go to supercuts.com. You'll find the one nearest to you. Get super ready at Supercuts.
Hello here with a really weird word, buttery. Buttery? It's not quite butter, it's more butterish. Or maybe buttery is like butchery or bakery, a shop that sells artisanal butter products. Dig in, America. Now a word that's even more weird, flotection. Sure, it's not really a word, but it is really good protection for your new home through me and Progressive. No ifs, ands, or butteries about it. Sorry.
Save an average of 17% on car insurance when you bundle home and auto through Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Discount not available in all states or situations.
Did you learn your ABCs when you were a kid? Well, as a grown-up, it's time to learn your CBDs, as in CBD edibles, oil tincture, pain cream, and beauty products. All found at your CBD store, with 3 locations: Poplar Avenue, North Germantown Parkway, and Goodman Road East. You'll find all natural, organic, and non-GMO products. Need to learn more? Your CBD store has a knowledgeable and friendly staff that can answer questions, help with choices, and put you at ease about your CBDs. Your CBD store, with 3 locations: Poplar Avenue, Cordova, and South Haven. Your CBD store, making it as easy for you as ABC CBD.
If you're someone that enjoys a truly great steak, then there's only one choice for you downtown: 117 Prime. 117 Prime has lots of different things on the menu, but the main attraction is the steaks. Prepared by chefs that love a great steak, you can choose from the 5 or 10-ounce fillets, the 16-ounce prime, the 8-ounce top sirloin cap culotte, or the 14-ounce New York strip, or the king of them all, the 24-ounce dry-aged porterhouse. You heard that right, 24 ounces of the best steak you've ever tasted. If you're craving steak, then head downtown to the steak experts. Head to Prime.
Experience true freedom in a Can-Am off-road vehicle. How? Through the Can-Am Holiday Sales Blitz that's happening now. From the valleys to the hills, from the dunes to the farm, they're ready. And they won't let anything get in their way, because this is where you ride best. Get to Olive Branch Motorsports for the Holiday Blitz sales event and get yourself a new Can-Am off-road vehicle at a great price. For a limited time, get up to $3,000 off on select 2019 models. Olive Branch Motorsports, 5656 Goodman Road, or online at obmotorcycleatv.com.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also keep up to date with everything going on by keeping up with Sports 56 on social media. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch for information on breaking news, chances to win prizes, and video of all the shows. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Stay in touch with Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7 on social media. We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Thank you, Drew. We welcome you in for hour number 2. On Sports Time on Sports 56, Dave is in Tulsa. He'll be back with us tomorrow afternoon. Breaking news at this very second: Eli Manning on Friday afternoon will formally announce his retirement from the National Football League. I would imagine in a huge ceremony in New York at the New York Giants facility with the Maras and the Tishes and all the Mannings and all of his teammates and the assembled New York media there. Year 16 will be it for Eli Manning, and we could feel it pretty much all year, from the demotion after the second week of the year to having to come back and play when the rookie was hurt, when Daniel Jones was injured, and then the goodbye. You could feel it coming, and he knew all year long, and I think he goes out very much on top. First-rate champion, 2-time world champion, 2-time Super Bowl champion, and number 10, I think soon will be retired by the New York Football Giants. We go to Tampa to visit with TJ Reeves. He's on the Buccaneer Radio Network, so we'll start there, TJ. Eli Manning, after 16 years, he's calling it a career, and I think it's bound for Canton someday.
We've had this discussion before. I agree with you. Good to be with you. And I was there, obviously, for Daniel Jones' first game after they had sent Eli to the bench that week, and, of course, the Giants won that game. And then I believe won the following week with the awful Redskins, and then didn't win again for literally 2 months or more of struggles. But you're right. You could see the handwriting on the wall here, and only fitting he did go out with a win in his final start against the Dolphins, and I think it's a great debate about whether he's a Hall of Famer, Stats.
Yeah, I think it is, and it could not be the first time up for him. but I think eventually, someday, some ways in it could be first. It's according with it. So he'll be in the class of after 5 years. So he can't go in before 2025. Not this summer, but next summer will be when Peyton goes in. We know Peyton's going in immediately with near unanimity. Unlike Derek Jeter yesterday, who did not go in with 100% of the baseball vote.
Yeah, and that was very interesting that there's only one, and you sometimes wonder if that person just wants attention for themselves to not put him in. But I thought it was interesting. I don't have the full list in front of me, but it was quite the Yankee list that included Mickey Mantle missing by 47 votes on being unanimous. I want to say Joe DiMaggio was like 25 votes.
Yogi
Berra had to wait, I think, either 2 or 3 times when he was eligible. So it's not unheard of that some of the great Yankees had some people not put them in or had to wait for a year. But that's it's still interesting that it was very close, 99.8% or whatever it was of the vote. For Jeter, and rightfully so. I mean, that's a no-brainer. He's a Hall of Famer with the 3,000 hits. I believe he was the second after Wade Boggs, where the 3,000th hit was on a home run against my Tampa Bay Rays. Boggs did it with the Rays. I was there. You want my Howard Cosell on a Wednesday afternoon on Wade Boggs? I remember because I was there on Wade Boggs being the first to ever hit a home run on the 3,000th hit. It came against the Cleveland Indians in 1999, I believe August of 99. Jeter got the 3,000th hit on a home run off of David Price, then of the Rays, now of the Red Sox, at Yankee Stadium. And there may have been somebody else that's done it too, but I think Jeter was the second to do it. So he's got the 3,000 hits, tremendous fielding, shortstop, all the world championships, no-brainer, Hall of Famer.
No-brainer.
Absolutely.
And I can tell you, I can weave a Eli Manning, Yogi Berra story in. I think after the first championship, it might have been the second, they had been on the parade through the Canyon of Heroes, and they're back at a party, and Eli Manning is visiting. Eli Manning tells the story. He's visiting with Lawrence Peter Berra, Yogi Berra, and it was after the second one. He goes, boy, he said, I knew New York really was going to respond well to the first one, but they're so responsive to this second one. He said, man, they really have shown out for this one. He goes, yeah, I won 10 of them.
This is second nature. If you were a Yankee in the 50s, the 60s, it was almost news if you didn't win, right? The way that they just seemingly rubber stamped it every year. So you're right. It's kind of like the Boston Celtics, like in the next decade, which I think they won 9, correct?
Yeah.
6 in a row and 9 of the 10. So when you talk about dynasties, and it's amazing what the Patriots have done in the 2000s to win 6 of them, but think about 9 championships in 10 years. 5 in a row, 6 in a row, 7 in a row. It's incredible what the dominance was for some of these teams in yesteryear. But, yeah, I mean, Manning is cemented because of the 2 wins, and one of those is the iconic win over the Patriots, who at that point in time were 18-0 and on the verge of the perfect season. And remember Eli with the famed third down play to David Tyree, and then eventually the touchdown to Plaxico Burress. They pull it out and they beat the Patriots. You could have maybe made the argument that that perhaps if he only wins the one, and that's the one, that maybe that would have been enough for the Hall of Fame, but then they duplicated it. They won it again against the Patriots, 4 years later, 2011 is the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
But they won it again?
Yeah, they win it in Super Bowl 42, and then they came back and won it in Super Bowl 46. And he gets 2 of them, and it's the ultimate team sport. And the Giants were mostly defensive teams in those years with Strahan, Umanura, JPP, and other guys. But he came up big in the big moments, and he was MVP of both those games. And those 2 NFC championship games, the first one in Green Bay on a day that Tom Coughlin was dangerously red. Remember that day when it looked like he was going to burst like a tomato?
-10. It was like -10 with the wind chill.
And then I thought the best game Eli Manning ever played, college or pro, was the NFC championship game win in the last game ever at the Stick in a mud hole, and they pounded him. They pummeled him. They beat the soup out of him, and he kept getting up and making a play.
Well, and again, You can look at stats. I think his career record, he ended like one game above 500. You can say, does he have Hall of Fame statistics compared? And I think we talked about this previously. We don't know what the record book's going to look like 10 years from now. I mean, look at what's happening right now with pass.
It'll be obliterated.
The game is so conducive. Yeah, I mean, it's so conducive to quarterbacks and to yardage records and touchdown records. So we don't know what the record book's going to look like. But I think when you're talking about the history of the game and the fabric of the game, Eli Manning has to be part of that for those giant wins. And he was as much responsible as that defense of winning some of those huge games. I mean, that 07 run began against my Buccaneers in Tampa in the wild card game. They won the first of the 3 road games in Tampa, and then eventually beat the Cowboys, I believe, with one Tony Romo, who I think the Cowboys were something like 13-3, and the Giants beat them the next week, and then won that frigid game in Green Bay to beat the Packers before they ever got to 18-0 New England. I mean, you talk about that one postseason being enough to maybe put you in the Hall of Fame. Maybe it was. Maybe it was for Eli.
Maybe it was. And last Sunday, the Super Bowl set for in Miami, Super Bowl 54, all set with San Francisco winning the later game and Kansas City winning the early game over the Tennessee Titans. And the 49ers, they really did it 1970 style. Tailback, tight end, defense, and kicking it.
It's incredible. When you're talking about Jimmy Garoppolo threw the ball 8 times last week, and they dominated the game. And the last 2 weeks, it's something like 87 rushing attempts for the San Francisco 49ers of Joe Montana and Steve Young and all the lore of all the great passing numbers that we were just talking about, passing stats, to be doing nothing but running the ball and playing defense. But it shows you their versatility, because I was doing an interview off the air. I'll plug the podcast. I do the 3 Dog Thursday podcast. You've been a guest on that podcast before, the 3 Dog Thursday podcast, where coincidentally Brett Norsworthy be out on Thursday, tomorrow. Charles Davis is on the 3 Dog Thursday podcast with me tomorrow. We're talking about the 49ers, and he worked the wild game against the Saints that they won 48-46 with Garoppolo out-dueling Drew Brees in the Superdome. And his point is, to kind of tease it on the podcast, when you can win a game like that with offense, go, and then you can win these games where you're smothering the other team and running the ball, that's where you measure what is a great team. How many different ways can you win? What happens if they take the pass game away from us? Can we win the game? If we can't run the ball, which is something that Tennessee finally ran into in the second half last week against Kansas City, if we can't run the ball, can we throw it enough to win? San Francisco's looking like a pretty complete team, but one hurdle still to go, and we'll see if they can clear it against the Chiefs a week from Sunday.
And Charles Davis, I know he is very busy this week in Mobile at the Senior Bowl, but just what a career he is having, part of Fox, and his broadcast partner is Kevin Burkhardt week to week. I know I'm right on that, aren't right?
Correct. Yes, he and Burkhardt do the NFL, and Charles is obviously doing stuff on the NFL Network with the Senior Bowl this week and scouting some of the different players. He mentioned some of those guys on the Senior Bowl coverage when he's on the podcast. And look, we value this a bunch this time of year. We tend to overvalue how you look at an All-Star game or how you look in a shirt and shorts at the Combine in February. But the reason why everybody's paying so much attention to this is because there's so much scrutiny of the draft, not just by the fans, but by the teams themselves. They want to see this. And so here we go with the college All-Star games leading to the Combine, and then it all rolls out in Las Vegas. I thought it was fascinating. That stage is really going to be out in the Fountain of the Bellagio, where the draft picks are going to ride up on a boat. I mean, that is something out of like Ocean's 11 with George Clooney and Brad Pitt and Matt Damon, that you're going to do something like that for the NFL draft. But apparently that is what they're going to do.
That's the NFL. And, boy, just when you don't think they can get more pomp and circumstance and kind of regale us with introductions, they're going to have that. Tomorrow in San Diego at Torrey Pines, I don't know if it's north or south, but it's a place very familiar, and I'm going to do my best, maybe worst, Ivor Robeson at the Open Championship invitation. You ready? On the tee.
Go.
On the tee from USA, Tiger Woods.
Yep, that was pretty good.
Okay, good.
That was pretty good.
Please don't take that, Drew.
So I love it when they usually do the roll calls on these, which they may or may not on this one, where they come out and go, 5-time U.S. Open champion, 5-time Masters champion, on and on, 6-time champion.
We don't have time for Tiger.
And whoever's around him finally just goes, enough.
Yeah.
Enough. So yeah, I mean, it is amazing when you start looking at all the accolades, but look at how many times he's won at certain courses, including this one. And you just wonder how many more times can he tee it up on the biggest stage here and contend. Do not take this for granted, what we're watching, because we never thought we were going to see this again. We keep saying this on your show with you and Wolo, that there was great belief that on the biggest stage he was not going to be able to win anymore just because of the back and the health. So this is now bonus time in 2020 that we're watching this. And even if he shoots like 75, 73 and misses the cut, we're still living with bonus time of him having won the Masters and having won the Tour Championship. And it brings excitement and extra eyeballs back to the game of golf, for sure.
TJ, I have said in my life now, and I was 17, 18, 19 when he was through, so I got the good years of it. I got some pretty good years of watching Jack Nicklaus. But of all the sports stars, you name them, from any sport, all of them, number one magnetic appointment TV for me. And when I've been fortunate enough to watch him in person, I've all but stalked him. I don't think there has been a sports figure that I have wanted to watch and follow like when Tiger Woods is playing. He has been the preeminent star for me in my life.
Yeah, it's and anywhere that he goes, not just in the United States, around the world, they know who he is. And we've gotten much more global with the sports. They know who LeBron James is. A great many of the fans across the globe follow the NFL, so they know who Tom Brady is. You mentioned Derek Jeter. He hung on long enough where the baseball game is becoming a global game, and so they know who he is. But Tiger, it's like Muhammad Ali. It's like what Michael Jordan was. Back everybody across the globe, wherever he goes, knows that name. And let's see what this looks like. I don't know how many more years with that back that's locked into place and in now his mid-40s, if you can continue to tee it up and contend with the younger guys. We'll see. But this is like gravy. This is extra. This is bonus right now starting at Torrey Pines. We'll see what he can do.
And we're going to enjoy it. Speaking of Halls of Fame, the Golf Hall of Fame, they have lowered the age to imagine that, 45.
Gee, I wonder why. Who turns 44 this upcoming year, this upcoming golf season? So I wonder why the requirement dropped from 50 to 45 just in time to put him in.
I think it's for Tiger. Tiger on the tee tomorrow at Torrey Pines, a really great field for used to be called the San Diego Open. What do they call it now? The Farmers Insurance.
The Farmers Insurance, right?
Farmers Insurance Open, Torrey Pines South and North. The South is the tougher one. That's the one that when they host the U.S. Open, it is entirely there. We're visiting with TJ Reeves from Buccaneer Radio and a bunch of different outlets and college basketball. Also one of your wheelhouse subjects. And not college basketball's finest hour, but I don't know. I think I do. I think it's a lot of things. But the college basketball fracas sticks to them, and the NBA basketball fight sticks to that sport much more than baseball or hockey or even a helmet-swinging football fight.
Well, and the one word that I when I saw it, and then now that I've seen it, and how can you avoid it? It's everywhere, all over the internet. The one word I keep coming back to is unnecessary. The whole thing was just completely unnecessary from the standpoint of you've got the Kansas State guys who are down by 22 points that are trying to steal the ball at the very end of the game, which is going to get the other team riled up to maybe stop you, which is exactly what happened. And then you've got guys that are feeding off the Kansas State bench, and everything kind of is in a perfect storm because Bruce Weber is down to mid-court trying to shake hands with Bill Self, and he doesn't even know what's going on behind him. The fracas, as you put it, or the melee behind him is going on. you've got an official standing right there because the game is over, and the official doesn't go over. He froze. I don't know which one it is. He froze. He doesn't go over immediately and get in between D'Souza and the Kansas State player to stop the flashpoint from happening. And then, horrifically, you've got fans in that end zone seating. A lot of them are disabled. That is the handicap section or the disabled section of Fog Allen Fieldhouse that have mayhem, something out of a Vince McMahon Royal Rumble around them. The whole thing was just completely unnecessary and awful. And there ought to be big-time suspensions, and maybe you look at giving the coaches a game or two, too. For if your teams can't behave any better than this, and you didn't get out and control them any quicker, then maybe you need to sit down too. And I have not seen, I've been out of the loop for the last few hours, if the Big 12 has come down as of yet, but they will soon. And if D'Souza, who's the player in the middle of the Adidas controversy and the FBI, who hasn't been eligible for a year and a half and has just now been eligible the last few weeks of the season, if he's not sitting for the rest of the season, the rest of the regular season for sure, I mean, when picking up the chair and all, I mean, he was the instigator at the flashpoint and then picking up the chair. Let's see what they do, Brett. I don't know what they are going to do. We'll see.
TJ, really good stuff. Thank you for jockeying around with us today. Mike DeCourcy sends his appreciations as well, and we were glad we could accommodate him and have you, and we appreciate it.
Anytime that I need to step aside for the Hall of Famer, DeCourcy, I'm going to do that, and I always love breaking bread with you. I appreciate it. And be well, and let's see if Wolo can get those Tigers a win in Tulsa, living on Tulsa time, my friend.
You got it. We got to say that, don't we? It's never easy in Tulsa. Tonight we'll be watching. Thank you, TJ. Really appreciate it. Thank you. TJ Reeves with us every week, and we appreciate his time today. Mike DeCourcy and his bracketology for Fox College Hoops. He has the Tigers as a 6 seed opening the tournament with USC. And we know the winner of the 6-11 game gets the winner of the 3-14 game, and that would be against.
But that 6-11 matchup, just to get to that game, is always a dangerous one.
I think all those from 5 on, 4 it's happened, but you should win it.
5-12 and 6-11, I think, are the two hardest matchups to pick every year.
And wouldn't you rather be a 10 than an 8 or 9? It just makes mathematical sense that you don't have to run into the 1 in the next round. The 3-14 game, Louisville or UALR? Go U of L. I'd love to see it.
I'd love it.
I'd love to see it. I mentioned the other day, it kind of feels like, and it's been some fun matchups in the past, and the Tigers have had the better of it. I think more times than not against Arkansas when they meet in the NCAA tournament. Arkansas beat them in 95 in the Sweet 16 in Kansas City, but the Tigers got them in 92 in Milwaukee. That might be the only two. Anyway, it feels like we could be on a collision course in that 7-10 range, which pick your 7, pick your 10. I don't really know which one would be which and really wouldn't care. And for the Tigers, most bracketologists, regardless of seeding, they do have them in the St. Louis pod. So, I'm not telling people to go out and spend their money now on hotel reservations in St. Louis, but most of the bracketologists, regardless of seeding, they have the Tigers starting there. And it makes sense with the pod system. You want to send people where you will draw a crowd.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, the NCAA makes most of its money off this tournament off of TV revenue, so they want people watching, but you want something that looks good on TV. I mean, it's just not that exciting to watch anything if nobody's actually there watching. So they want people there at the gate. And like you said, most of the bracketologies that I've kind of checked, I'm not into full swing bracketology just yet. I think it's still a little too early for me to really do a deep dive into all of it. But I've seen most of them with the South, and all 99% of them ranked at the 6th spot. And I don't really know what more the Tigers can do to really improve that seeding. I think 6 might be the ceiling.
I know what they can do to hurt it.
They can lose.
They can lose, but just win by 1 in these games. I don't know that there's a lot of growth potential for the seeding, but it could bottom out. It could if they lost a lot. And I don't think they will, but if they did, it could play into Dayton. You could even play into being on the bubble if it went horribly wrong. I don't think that will happen, though.
I was about to ask, high hard one. Is there anywhere they actually do play their way out of the tournament?
No, I don't even think that's high or hard. I don't. I don't think.
Well, I don't think it was right down your main street, but I mean.
Well, I had video. I stole the sign.
Oh, okay. You knew it was coming.
I knew it was coming. Joe Lenardi has the Tigers as a 7, playing Indiana. Winner getting Duke. Winner getting the Duke.
I'll take it.
He has 3 from the American. That's just about everybody out there with only 3 from the American. It's Houston, Wichita State, and Memphis. It's going to be hard for a 4th from the American to emerge.
And
I might eat these words tonight about 10:15, 10:30. I just don't think your conference can be good if Tulsa's ever the leader in it.
I don't think you can either. And while I loved having Bruce Howard on yesterday, he does a phenomenal Monday, does a phenomenal job for the Tulsa Golden Hurricanes and representing the American Athletic Conference. But when he kind of lumped himself in with East Carolina in a statement, saying that this isn't your father's Tulsa and East Carolina teams, that once you put yourself in the same boat as the East Carolina Pirates, your next statement doesn't mean anything.
Hard to prop up ECU. Shelby Mass, our friend from BracketWag.com, the official bracketologist of USA Today and Gannett Papers, he has the Tigers as a 9 playing Illinois, with the winner getting Baylor, number 1 ranked Baylor. We're going to talk the Baylor Bears and their number 1 ranking when we return from this break. We're getting ready to take Craig Smoke from ESPN Radio down in Waco. He'll join us and look forward to that. 67129 at the First Bank text line, 360-8255 at the First Bank phone line. Visit firstbankonline.com. First Bank, with experienced Memphis bankers that you know and that you trust. And First Bank, they know what you need. You need a reliable, trustworthy Memphis banker that can give you an answer. They make the decisions for you right here in Memphis. Your business is handled here. Not in Nashville, not in Birmingham, not in Atlanta, not in Knoxville, but right here. A direct answer from the First Bank banker you're dealing with. First Bank, with stories and a record of customers reaching high. Community banks are the preferred lender of people building a success story. Build your success story with First Bank. Visit firstbankonline.com. That's firstbankonline.com, 360-8255 or 67129 at the First Bank text line. Already been some great texts that I do want to get to before this day ends. You're listening to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats on Real Sports Talk, AM 560, 96.1, and 87.7.
Ladies and gentlemen, grab a seat every afternoon for Sports 56 Happy Hour with Johnny Radio, right here on Sports 56, 96.1 FM and 87.7 FM.
I'm here with the great Pat Donahue from the Rendezvous Restaurant Shipping Department.
Thanks, Brett. We've been shipping our ribs all over the country now for decades from our USDA-inspected shipping kitchen in the Pinch District. We hand-cook our ribs in pits that Mr. Charlie built over charcoal, just like they do at the restaurant.
So what comes in a rib box?
We could do pork shoulder, we could do ribs, our sauce, seasoning, baked beans, coleslaw. We'll even throw in Pancho's cheese dip with our nacho boxes. We also put a bag of Rendezvous seasoned popcorn, heating instructions, some chef hats, some wet naps, and some other helpful tips from our kitchen. We ship our ribs overnight, exclusively FedEx. And we put them in nice packaging. We don't ever want to use styrofoam, so we use corrugated cardboard, actually 2 boxes that fit nice together, so the ribs get to you, your loved ones, or your clients in a safe, wholesome manner. Rendezvous ribs are perfect for out-of-town clients, customers, loved ones. We also ship ribs for any occasion.
Where do we order these great ribs?
You can go to www.hogsfly.com or give us a call at 1-888-464-7359.
Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous Restaurant in the alley since 1948.
Get to Holly Chevrolet in Marion to take advantage of great deals during Holly's 2020 kickoff sale. Right now, get 0% financing for 72 months on the all-new 2020 Chevy Silverado 1500 plus $1,000 bonus earnings. Or get 0% financing for 72 months on a new 2020 Chevy Equinox plus a $500 cash allowance. Stop by today and check out Holly's large selection of new and pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs ready for you to enjoy. And at Holly Chevrolet, it's a no-pressure, no-hassle environment. As a matter of fact, there's no Badgers. And never pay a dock fee. Find new roads at Exit 14 off I-55 in Marion, just 15 minutes from downtown Memphis, and online at hollychevrolet.com.
2020 Chevy Silverado 1500, stock number N4007. 2020 Chevy Equinox LT front-wheel drive, stock number N4074. 0% financing on approved credit. All discounts, rebates, and incentives are included and applied. Must qualify and finance with GM Financial and have a 2005 or newer GM product. Prices do not include tags, title, or registration. Take delivery by 2/3/20. See dealer for details.
It's game on at the new Moneyline Book Bar and Grill inside the Gold Strike Casino Resort. Now you can bet on all of your favorite sports and watch the games on 60 HD TVs while you lounge in plush seating and enjoy craft beers, signature cocktails, and great food. Plus, don't miss the Topgolf Swing Suite, a virtual reality experience with a variety of fun interactive games every sports fan will love. Visit the Moneyline Bar, Book and Grill at Gold Strike Casino Resort for Monday Night Football happy hour specials. Or anytime you want a piece of the best sports action in Mississippi.
Make your day smoking with the Big Green Egg. You can smoke, bake, roast, sear, and grill, all with a lifetime warranty. Ceramic never rusts, and the easy, accurate temperature control gives you the greatest range of any grill. Make your next grill your last with the Big Green Egg. Available at these nearby locations: Hamilton Fireplace Shop, 4462 Summer Avenue; Germantown Hardware Company, 2083 South Germantown Road; Garden Spas and Pool, 9393 Poplar Avenue; and East Memphis Ace Hardware, 5143 Quince Road.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
Listen Sundays at 11 a.m. to join Idlewild Presbyterian Church for worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
Kansas City and San Francisco are headed to the big game, and Sports 56 will be there. Join Eli Savoy live from Radio Row in Miami for Sports 56 middays and throughout the day, Tuesday through Friday. Get all the latest news and hear guests from around the league previewing the matchup. Coverage of the big game on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7 is presented by the Big Green Egg, Gateway Tire, Olive Branch Motorsports, and Southland Casino Racing. And also brought to you by Memphis Tourism and Sports Council.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
What a sports year for the Baylor Bears with what they did in football, going to the Big 12 championship game and into the Sugar Bowl. And now what they're doing in men's basketball, number one in the country. We're number one. Rings out in Waco to talk about the Baylor Bears in Big 12. We'll get some Dave Aranda college football talk in here also. Craig Smoke joins us now from 1660 ESPN in Waco. You can follow Craig on Twitter at Craig Smoke, SMOAK. Craig, good afternoon to you. And how much fun is it on the Waco Baylor Bear beat these days?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. I do appreciate it, and it's good to join you guys. And right now, life is pretty good for the Baylor Bears. You know, if you had called me a couple of years ago, we'd have to really kind of search, it feels like, to find too many positive things to talk about. But it's been a tremendous run this year. You know, volleyball was number one in the country for a while and came up just short. Basketball, as you mentioned, are 1 and 2 with the men and women. And football, as you ran down, had a tremendous year. So, now it's just been a lot of enjoying the moment and looking forward to seeing what these fall and spring sports are going to do who have yet to finish their seasons. And, of course, there's a lot of change that's also taking place. So it's been an interesting athletics year for Baylor, no doubt.
Was Matt Rule that good?
He was. He's the real deal, and I'm very intrigued by what's going to happen with him in Carolina. I think he's going to be successful. I don't know if it will be, something to where he sees success pretty immediately, or if it's more like his rebuild jobs at Baylor and Temple, where it took him about a year to really get the foundation laid and then got to winning football games. It would be a bit different in the NFL, obviously, but he's just such a unique person, and I think the more you read about him and the more you just see the love that a lot of people have for him and the knowledge that he has, this day was coming. We knew that it was going to come at some point. And this last go-round, even though the last 2 off seasons there's been NFL rumors, with the Giants opening up in particular, that just felt like the move he was going to make. So the biggest surprise really was not him going to the NFL. That was just bound to happen at some point. It was really where he went, being Carolina rather than New York. But he's the real deal. I think right now I'm seeing a lot of Panthers fans who are posing some of the same questions that Baylor fans had early on. And seeing what I saw for 3 years, I can just look at them and tell them it's going to be fine, and he knows what he's doing, and I'm very much looking forward to what he and a lot of the assistant coaches that were on staff at Baylor the last 3 years who are now in Carolina are going to do.
And, Craig, I've always said about any coaching change, when they leave, if you can answer this affirmatively, did they leave it better than they found it, then you can't be too mad at them for moving on. And he found utter disaster in leaving it in pretty good shape for Dave Aranda. The Justin Fuente conversation and talk, did you ever think that was as close as we kind of did around here before Baylor hired Dave Aranda from LSU?
You know what? I did not go all in on that when that first started getting reported around. Now, I'm not saying that I don't think that they may have had interest in him, but I don't think that he was just, the forerunner of the search, or the front runner, I should say, of the search. The way that a couple of the articles that I read when, that first came out kind of positioned him as, I don't think that that's accurate. Mac Rhodes, Baylor AD, has said that Dave Aranda was the only guy that they offered the job. And I know his reports didn't necessarily indicate that Fuente was offered it, but that he was a favorite. I think he was in the mix. I definitely know they talked to him, but I didn't get all on board that like some did, just because the way these searches have played out under Mac Rhodes, that just seemed to be too easy almost for it to be Fuente and that quickly and that matter-of-factly. So, again, I do believe there was some interest there. I think Fuente played it a certain way, and Baylor, obviously liked what they saw in Dave Aranda, so he was ultimately their choice. But, I'm sure there was a little bit to that smoke, no doubt about it.
I promise you, I want to get to one of the main reasons we wanted to catch up with you. That's number one in men's basketball, Scott Drew's Baylor Bears. But any conversation about Baylor and the years gone by, and we never get political on this show, but front and center in national news stories right now is the former head chancellor at Baylor, Ken Starr. You tell me, you covered it. Ken Starr, good guy or bad guy in the Baylor story?
Oh, that's a good question. He wanted to be the oblivious guy. He wanted to be kind of I didn't know any of this was going on guy. And, the thing about Ken Starr when he was here at Baylor, he was here when I arrived a few years ago. He had already, been in that role. And I had a couple of interactions with him. Don't pretend to know the guy whatsoever. And I don't really trust too many politicians regardless of their party, just because they're politicians.
You are wise.
So you got to be, be careful with that. I think Ken Starr, from what I could gather, he was good as the face of the university when things were good, obviously, and had a name. And he was really, a fundraiser at heart and a guy to go out and kind of be the figurehead. He wasn't so much of the president that is crossing the T's and dotting the I's. And that wasn't really what I felt like he thought his job was, as typical to your regular school presidents elsewhere. And so that made for kind of a unique, I think, relationship in a way, not between him and Baylor. It's just that he didn't necessarily do the things a typical president does. I don't think he's a bad guy. I think he's just a guy that ultimately is going to make sure that Ken Starr is winning and is on top and is getting his way, if that makes sense.
It does.
And will always just kind of come out on top, and that's kind of how I've always viewed him. Could not say with enough certainty that he's a bad guy, but he's a politician, and he's always going to find a way to come out better on the other side, no matter what involvement he had or what lack of involvement he had. I think with the Baylor story, though, he was just oblivious. He was not, boots on the ground, making sure that everything was in order and making sure that Title IX was in place and making sure of this and that. He was more or less just more of a fundraising type of guy and a figurehead. And so I think that's where, some of the problems arose, was that there were not more people maybe that were doing the due diligence or crossing those T's, dotting those I's, as opposed to, going and doing what he was doing on a more regular basis. So, tough to say, but a politician for sure.
Fair enough. Craig Smokes, our guest from 1660 ESPN in Waco. They went out on Monday after being anointed, after being voted number one, and the Baylor Bears beat Oklahoma 61-57. Now they go on the road on Saturday to Gator Alley, a big preseason favorite by a lot of people. That really Mike White's team has not been very good so far this year. It'll be the Gators at home against number one Baylor and Scott Drew on Saturday. What a way to go out and defend that first week of number one in the SEC Big 12 Challenge, Craig.
It really is. And, the one thing the box they were able to check was they were number one for the first time in school history 3 years ago. And they proceeded, after earning that number one ranking, to go and lose their very next two ball games. So they were number one for all of 1 week, didn't pick up a single win. And then as soon as they were no longer number one, they won that next game. So one thing they've already been able to do is win a game as a number one, as they did a couple of nights ago. So that's got to feel pretty good. But, yeah, certainly it's not going to get any easier. They've still got some big conference matchups remaining, but most importantly, they've got Florida on Saturday, and I'm sure that'll be a tough atmosphere. That's not a place they've played regularly, if ever. I'm not even sure if they've ever played in Gainesville. I had to check on that, but yeah, it'll be different. It'll be a nice break from Big 12 play, and they're going to have their shoes tied and their brains focused because certainly if they go in there thinking that we're number one, and that's not ever been the mentality of Drew or this team. But if they go in there with that kind of attitude, then they'll get handed a loss real quick. And they've been winning games, but they've had a lot of close calls. To their credit, they've been able to pull out wins time and time again when they have had close calls. But if they shoot like they've been shooting in some cases here recently against Florida on Saturday, then it's going to be even tougher than already imagined. So this should be a fun game.
Sure,
I think there's a few different intriguing games in this Big 12 SEC Challenge, and I've really enjoyed this since it got put together. So I'm looking forward to this one.
And I want more challenges. I want more in November and December, and I want more conference games in November and December to leave more room for challenges in January and February to break up some of the monotony.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm all for that. And I know that the Big 12 has, agreements here and there, but that SEC one I think has really been beneficial for both sides. Tech Kentucky, I've been reading where that's, like an impossible ticket to get at the moment, or at least a really expensive ticket. So that game's drawing a lot of eyeballs. Obviously, with Baylor number one and Florida being the program they are, that's going to draw a lot of eyeballs, and there will be others as well. But there was a matchup, a challenge of sorts that I thought the Big 12 had agreed to. But now it's kind of escaping me. I thought it might have been with some of the old Big East schools. But regardless, yeah, I'm all for the challenges. I think they're great, and they're great at breaking up kind of some of that monotony of conference play, as you mentioned.
Scott Drew, how did he do it? Because when Scott Drew's name was most prominently mentioned here, it was in the spring of 2009. John Calipari had left for Kentucky. Memphis was having a coaching search. All parties indicated that it was very close. I thought a couple of members of the Memphis media very irresponsibly went out and trashed with no sourcing whatsoever of Scott Drew to really sabotage him getting the job. Grease the skids for Josh Pastner. Baylor keeps Scott Drew. They're number one, and Memphis is on their third coach since then.
It's funny how that works out, right? We as media members are not supposed to be, fans and be rooting for this guy or that guy. Certainly we all have our preferences, but, that's just kind of how it goes sometimes. If anybody has any bad word to say about Scott Drew, they have never met Scott Drew, or they're just a bad person. I mean, bottom line, this is the nicest guy, legitimately the nicest guy that you will ever meet. He is always smiling. He's always very open and excited to talk to people and talk to fans. He's just a first-class kind of guy. And there was a long time, and it kind of dissipated a little bit now, but for the longest time, Scott Drew must be cheating, or Scott Drew's cheating. How could he get this guy? The thing is, they're winning now. They're not winning with big five-star guys either. He has just, over the course of the last couple of seasons, been able to, piece by piece, put together a lot of pieces that fit together into one nice puzzle, and that's been through the transfer market in a couple of different cases. that's been through just recruiting maybe guys who aren't as heralded. I mean, certainly guys who have interest from elsewhere, but maybe aren't like that 5-star guy that everybody froths at the mouth over. You know, Texas gets a guy like that every year, and it does them no good.
Nothing.
So for the years, all you heard was Scott Drew can't coach, or he's doing it this way, or whatever. There's been so much misinformation or just baloney said about Scott Drew. He is a first-class, salt-of-the-earth kind of guy, and he's a really good basketball coach. And so that whole Scott Drew can't coach, kind of line that followed him around for years and years. If you want to know about somebody's basketball IQ, if they say those words, then you know that IQ's not very high, because the man can coach. He's put together a top-to-bottom, very talented roster, and I think they're just so deep, and they're winning games by playing really nasty defense, and that's a fun thing to watch, the fun brand to watch. Threes are fun. You know, Steph Curry and the Warriors during their heyday is fun to watch, but there's something to be said as well about just tough, nasty defensive basketball, because that translates no matter the opponent, and that's been what's been their bread and butter all year long, even in nights where a Jared Butler, for example, against Oklahoma is having a terrible night shooting. They got contributions, but ultimately they won that game because of defense. And so that's how they've been getting done, guys, is just really good defense, a very deep roster, and Scott Drew coaching a little bit.
Craig, very, very well put about him. It's a little bit like the whole thing, and they had to win to dispel it. Remember Clemsoning and Dabo Swinney? Nobody says Nobody says that anymore. Scott Drew could be on the verge of finally ending to the one or two detractors that remain ending that. We're going to catch up a bunch before this basketball season ends, because I know Baylor will be good, and the Tigers and Baylor could be on a collision course. And I know I'll see you guys September 5th when Ole Miss and Baylor, when we play in Houston with two new coaches on the sideline, with Lane Kiffin on one side and Dave Aranda on the other.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun down in H-Town. I've been down there to that stadium now a couple times here in the last couple of years. And Baylor, I think their last time there was the Texas Bowl last season that they won. But what's funny about this matchup, and I'm sure you guys have mentioned it as well, is just from the time that it was announced as a possibility, which is about 4 years ago at this point, maybe even longer than that, actually. Yeah. But from the time that was announced 5 or 6 years ago, to the time where it actually got confirmed, I mean, it's gone from Art Briles versus Hugh Freeze to Matt Rule versus Matt Luke to now Dave Aranda versus Lane Kiffin. So that's been the matchup since rumor to fruition, and it'll be Aranda versus Kiffin, and the first game for both those guys with their new programs. Obviously for Aranda, it'll be his first head coaching game as a head coach, period. So that's going to be very interesting. But, he got introduced here 3 days ago after what felt like a very long search for Baylor fans and even for media covering it. And, it's different from Matt Rule. It's different from Jim Grobe or Art Briles. He's his own unique guy. But certainly I think with what Matt Rule and Baylor did this past season with their defense, for a school that was so known for its offense for so many years, they've kind of now embraced having more of that defensive mentality. So Aranda as a hire made a lot of sense. I think a lot of people are just kind of, biting their fingernails to see who's the offensive coordinator going to be, waiting to see all of these spots get filled up. But he's made a couple of hires. They look like they should be pretty solid and look like some guys with some great backgrounds. And obviously Aranda can coach. So the question really just becomes, how is he as a head coach? And we'll learn that first things first against Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss. And across the sideline, they'll also see their former running backs coach, because Jeff Levy now there with Lane Kiffin and Randy Clements, the offensive line coach. So a couple of former Baylor assistants under Briles that will be playing against them as well. So, I'm very much looking forward to that game, and that'll be quite the tone setter, I think, for both schools, because, before Rule left, that felt like a game that I was very confident in Baylor winning. No disrespect to Ole Miss by any means, but just the trajectory that they were on. Even with the Kiffin hire, I just felt good about their chances. And now a little bit more unsure, just because I'm unsure about, what an Aranda Bears-led team is going to look like. But I think that, in these first couple of days, he's done a lot to just kind of soothe people's anxiety. And, when spring ball gets fired up and we get to see him out on the field, I think a lot of people will be ready to go to bat with Dave Aranda as head coach.
Craig, great job. Thank you for joining us. Tell Paul and Smokey I said hello, please, and we look forward to visiting with you guys again soon. Thank you, Craig.
I absolutely will. Thank you, as always, for having me, and I hope you have a great week.
You got it. Thank you very much. Craig Smoke from 1660 in Waco at the ESPN station there all things Baylor Bears. And what a time for Baylor as we started with him, the number one, going to Gainesville on Saturday. When we come back, we round out hour number 2, head into hour number 3, and that will start with Jason Munns. You're listening to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats on Real Sports Talk, AM 560, 96.1 and 87.7.
Search Sports 56 on Facebook and give us a like. And follow us on Twitter at Sports 56 WHBQ.
The folks at Homer Skelton Hyundai want to say thank you. Thank you, Memphis, for another spectacular year. They set records, but I can understand why. You think about the product. Where else do you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty? That's what you get on every new car at Homer Skelton Hyundai. Oh, and thank you again for the 11th straight year, the #1 certified pre-owned car dealership in all of Memphis. It starts with that product, but then it goes to the shopper assurance. Where else do you go where you get transparent pricing, flexible test drive, take the car for a couple of days if you want, streamlined buying process? You're not going to be there all day, in and out. And then, and I have not seen this anywhere else, the 3-day worry-free exchange. You buy a new car, if you've got any buyer's remorse, you've got 3 days to change your mind. Just get on Lamar, take it into Mississippi, the first exit's Craft Road, turn left, and go see Chris True and all the gang at Homer Skelton Hyundai.
Bartlett Small Engine has been serving quality power equipment since 1970. They have a full line of power equipment, parts, and services for most makes and models. Bartlett Small Engines has the best brands in the power tool industry: Honda mowers, trimmers, and generators, Steel blowers, trimmers, and chainsaws, Echo trimmers, blowers, and chainsaws, plus quality products from Red Mat and Shindawa. And they're all American made. Bartlett Small Engine is your can-do store. 6780 Summer Avenue. Call 901-386-9779.
Hi, folks. Bob Burkhammer for Sunrise Buick GMC Truck. Thinking about buying a newer used car or truck? Remember, the selection's better and the savings are bigger at Sunrise. Over 600 new cars and trucks to choose from. Factory savings up to $13,000 and interest rates low as 0%. Immediate financing with next to nothing down and a $6 million used car inventory. Specializing in cars and trucks under $10,000 and monthly payments under $200. Bad credit? It's okay. At Sunrise, we've got a financing plan for everybody. SunriseMemphis.com. We're saving you money. It's just a way of doing business. Covington, Pike, Wolfchase, and Collierville. We make it fun to buy a car again.
We know what you really want is to go to Sunrise on Jefferson and enjoy a nice leisurely breakfast or lunch made fresh and fast. But a lot of the time, you just don't have the time. That's why if you're in a hurry, the way to go is to call ahead to Sunrise and place your order. That way, all you have to do is swing by, go to the carryout entrance, and walk away with all the sweet deliciousness that is Sunrise. Only quick and taken wherever you're in a hurry to be. Everybody's in a rush some of the time, but that doesn't mean you can't enjoy Sunrise whenever and wherever.
And the coach calls timeout.
Wait a minute, you can't call timeout when you have leaks and Mother Nature is roaring through your home.
A technical foul from outer space may be in order.
Don't know about that, but we can measure your roof from outer space at BrianElderRoofing.com.
So if you need repairs or wondering if you think you may have a claim,
call me before you call your insurance company. And we've got 0% interest for 60 months with approved credit. We won't try to sell you a new roof if all you need is a repair.
My friend Chris Price, a longtime donor of the U of M. Call him, 867-0303 or BrianElderRoofing.com.
God bless America, Penny and Mike, and go Tigers.
And now back to the game.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Experience true freedom in a Can-Am off-road vehicle. How? Through the Can-Am Holiday Sales Blitz that's happening now. From the valleys to the hills, from the dunes to the farm, they're ready. And they won't let anything get in their way, because this is where you ride best. Get to Olive Branch Motorsports for the Holiday Blitz sales event and get yourself a new Can-Am off-road vehicle at a great price. For a limited time, get up to $3,000 off on select 2019 models. Olive Branch Motorsports, 5656 Goodman Road, or online at obmotorcycleatv.com.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Oh, no, we haven't forgotten the Grizzlies tonight. Back with the Grizzlies, not at home after the extended homestand, the 6-gamer, 5-1 at home, just missing on the first 6-game sweep of a homestand. Only 2 of the longest homestands the rest of the way this year will just be 2 games. But tonight in Boston on the famed parquet, 6:30 against the Boston Celtics. I talked to an NBA insider, NBA-type guy that was at David Stern's memorial service yesterday. It was held at Radio City Music Hall, and the speakers included Magic Johnson, the current commissioner, Adam Silver, Pat Riley. I was surprised Jerry West did not speak, but he didn't. But a lot of speakers said that David Stern's son was so very moving in his thank yous to the crowd for being there, and that Pat Riley went a little long, and that David Stern's son gently kind of needled him about going a little long, because everybody was kind of checking their watch, but that it was some ceremony for, if he wasn't the best commissioner ever, okay, we'll give it to Rozelle, kind of Mount Rozelle. Well, then it's David Stern.
I think it is, and his successor, Adam Silver, is on his
right
way.
There.
It's on his way there, and obviously he ultimately should be, because of what he learned under David Stern for so long, being the deputy commissioner for, I think, at least a decade before he took over for David Stern.
Rod Thorne was right in there in the leadership and others, but Adam Silver was always
he's always in there. And I mean, if you can just copy and paste what David Stern did, there's no way you can fail.
And if you do copy and paste it, does that mean more franchises? Does that mean expansion? Does that mean growth?
I think it does. I think it means getting a team back into Seattle.
We are not everybody follow along and repeat after me. We are not worried about losing this team, are we?
No, we are not worried about it. We're worried. You shouldn't be worried about anything. It's not relocation, it's expansion. It's adding teams,
exactly.
Not relocating them.
Right. So if you have an expansion Seattle, if you have an expansion Las Vegas, I mentioned San Diego, expansion Mexico City, that's how you would do it, because it will cost a lot of, I don't know what the opening bid would be. $1 billion, $1.5 billion?
Probably closer to 2, if I had to guess. I'm not a big fan of the Mexico City talk with NBA and NFL as expansion teams, and definitely not too crazy about the whole idea of putting a team in London, just because I think geographically it just doesn't make sense. I know Mexico City's a lot closer than London, but there's no other team around them. It's the National Football League. It's an American league. Like, let's just kind of keep it right here at home. And I've never seen basketball in San Diego. I believe they had an ABA team at one time.
They had NBA there.
They did have NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Did it work?
No, it did not. A couple of different times it didn't. The team that was in San Diego that then moved to Houston and became the Rockets, or they were the Rockets out there, and then they had the Clippers. The Buffalo Braves moved from Buffalo to San Diego, and they were the Clippers, and it did not work. I think Hank McDowell played in I'm pretty sure he was a teammate with Bill Walton in the San Diego years, and Bill Walton was going to be the star San Diego youngster from Helix High School, and he just plagued by injury, and it didn't work. And then was that that was Donald Sterling that had them there, I think, and he moved them to Los Angeles to become the Clippers. But they were in the ABA. I remember the ABA team, the Conquistadors, with Wilt Chamberlain as the coach. They were not very good, and it did not work. But now with only one of the major league teams in town, you might think somebody want to take a swing at that big population.
But wouldn't you also be, I'm sorry to jump in, a little worried about that there actually is only one team left, that everybody else is left for a reason?
There's a reason there's one left. And you know who loves that? Padres salespeople. They don't have any competition. They have to
set their own prices.
Only show in town. We come back, hour left on this busy Wednesday afternoon. You're listening to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats on AM 560. This is Real Sports Talk on AM 560, 96.1, and 87.7.
Help us make room for our incoming inventory at Family Leisure. Save thousands on all floor model spas.
Floor model play gyms up to 50% off. Patio furniture 10 to 50% off. Don't wait until May to purchase your swimming pool. Buy now and get scheduled for the spring installation. Additional discounts on all swimming pools, grills, fire pits, outdoor kitchens. Get to I-40 and Whidden Road. There's always something good at Family Leisure.
Family and fun come together.
Make your day smoking with the Big Green Egg. You can smoke, bake, roast, sear, and grill, all with a lifetime warranty. Ceramic never rusts, and the easy, accurate temperature control gives you the greatest range of any grill. Make your next grill your last with the Big Green Egg. Available at these nearby locations: Hamilton Fireplace Shop, 4462 Summer Avenue; Germantown Hardware Company, 2083 South Germantown Road; Garden Spas and Pool, 9393 Poplar Avenue; and East Memphis Ace Hardware, 5143 Quince Road.
I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses will buy a house in any area, in any condition, and yes, it's guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your home quickly, call 901-406-1101. If you've been through a divorce, if you lost your job, if you're tired of renters, I Buy Houses can get you your money quickly. I Buy Houses will buy your home in Shelby County, DeSoto County, Memphis, Bartlett, South Haven, Horn Lake, Olive Branch, anywhere and everywhere in between, in any condition. And yes, they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that pen, 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses.
DeSoto Auto Sales specializes in late model cars with low mileage. They have the highest standards in the car industry. All of their cars are test-driven, checked out from head to toe, unlimited inventory, every make and model. And if it's not on the lot, they'll find it for you. Walk in the door of DeSoto Auto Sales, 5704 Goodman Road. Within 45 minutes, you can test your car, get credit approval, and finish paperwork within an hour. No shortcuts at DeSoto Auto Sales. Kind, courteous employees, a down-home environment. DeSoto Auto Sales cares about your time. Lowest prices in a 350-mile radius. We're living in a world today where time does matter. Visit them online. Check out their referrals. DeSotoAutosales.com. Very proud to serve DeSoto County and other surrounding areas. DeSoto Auto Sales, 5704 Goodman Road. Call 662-890-7184. 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto Auto Sales.
Mid-South Power Distributors is your source for all things diesel. For more than 26 years, they've supplied all the diesel parts that you need. From simple repairs to complete overhauls, they have it all. Whether it's heavy, medium, light duty, agricultural, marine, or off-road, Mid-South Power is the leading source for all things diesel. Fuel injection, turbochargers, engine parts, alternators, starters, and brakes, they can supply all the parts and services you need. Stop in today at 3250 Mill Branch Road in Memphis or call 901-396-0710.
Kansas City and San Francisco are headed to the big game, and Sports 56 will be there. Join Eli Savoy live from Radio Row in Miami for Sports 56 middays and throughout the day, Tuesday through Friday. Get all the latest news and hear guests from around the league previewing the matchup. Coverage of the big game on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7 is presented by the Big Green Egg, Gateway Tire, Olive Branch Motorsports, and Southland Casino Racing. And also brought to you by Memphis Tourism and Sports Council.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Welcome back to Sportstime on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sportstime is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
We're going to head to Tulsa. That's where Dave Woloshin, that's where he is, and he will be back with us tomorrow at 3. Fun visiting with him in the first hour. We head back out there momentarily to visit with Jason Munns from the Commercial Appeal, courtside on the Tigers beat for the CA, covering all things Tigers, and tonight against Tulsa. This hour brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales down on Goodman Road, 5704 Goodman Road. Visit them online and check out the referrals at DeSotoAutosales.com. 662-890-7184, and head on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience. You walk in, you're treated like family by kind, courteous employees, laid-back atmosphere, no high-pressure sales, down-home environment at DeSoto Auto Sales. They care about your time. They want you to have the ultimate car experience. What does that mean? It means they know we're living in a world today that time matters. They want you to walk in, deal with your sales rep, test drive your car, credit approved, paperwork completed, all in about 45 minutes. Every make and every model on the lot at DeSoto Auto Sales. If by chance it's not, they'll go out and find it for you. No shortcuts at DeSoto Auto Sales again. Kind, courteous employees and no pressure-packed sales. 5704 Goodman Road, online at DeSotoAutoSales.com. Come on down to DeSoto County for the Town and Country experience on Goodman Road at DeSoto Auto Sales. To Tulsa we go again. Jason Munns from the Commercial Appeal joins us now. We visit with Dave in the first hour. And, Jason, in the preseason, I don't know anybody had this game circled as the Tigers going in and playing the number one team in the AAC in Tulsa, but that is indeed the case tonight.
Yeah, who would have guessed that? I mean, it's just kind of par for the course, though, right? The season has been one unexpected moment after another, pretty much down the line. I mean, who would have thought? I think I was talking about it with you guys a month or so ago that before the Tennessee game, had we dreamt that Alex Lomax would have been sort of the MVP to that point in the season, you know, somebody would have called us crazy if we had said that before the season. And now again, here we are, Tulsa, Oklahoma, 4-1, leading the conference. I think they're tied with Houston, but they've beaten Houston. So they're in first place, and the Tigers are up here trying to get a share of that top spot.
It always has a frenetic feel, the good kind, for Tiger basketball. This year it has been, I mean, just some highs, but the lows have not been that low. I mean, the loss at Oregon, okay, what of it? It happens, and it was a long time ago. It was so long ago, James Wiseman was on the team. But 14-3, this has been a good year to date, hasn't it?
It has, but I kind of wrote about this in my mailbag this week. It's like the expectations were so high. You know, everybody, I think a lot of people just got they married themselves to the fact that this was going to be a special year, and they weren't wrong for doing that. But just, you know, things have changed. There's no more James Wiseman. Boogie Ellis isn't necessarily the scoring threat that we all thought he would be. Damian Ball hasn't necessarily turned out to be the answer at point guard that a lot of people thought after the exhibition tour in the Bahamas. So, you know, there have just been some things that have not gone according to probably what most people, you know, the way most people thought they would. And I think that has left some folks disappointed. But exactly as you said, 14-3,
ranked 20th.
Yeah, exactly. Ranked 20th. You know, has a chance to be tied for first place after 5 games into the conference season, with the only conference loss coming at a then ranked Wichita State team. So I think all things being equal, once you take into account there's no James Wiseman, Boogie hasn't played very well, et cetera, et cetera. I think a lot of people would be happy with 14-3 and a number 20 spot in the AP top 25.
Yeah, an average in about 17,000 at home. But out of 353 in college basketball, there's a whole lot that would swap to be this Tiger basketball program, whether it's historical or right now in the present. Tonight in the present, 8 o'clock tip on ESPNU against Tulsa. This Tulsa team's going to play that sagging zone, and I don't know why, Jason. Why do so many teams freak out now when they see a zone? I don't know why more teams don't play a little bit of zone, and I don't know why more teams act like it's something they've never seen before when they see it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you're right, but I was looking at some numbers that I uncovered a couple of days ago after Penny Hardaway was talking about the type of defense that they, were expecting to face here at Tulsa tonight, and we're 17 games in, which is just past the halfway point in the season, and they have only faced zone defenses like 19.7% of the time this season. So it is not something that at least this Memphis team sees very often. And I mean, you take out the Tulane game, and it's probably that number probably goes down significantly. So, I don't know if I necessarily have the answer. I think more teams probably should play that way, but because they don't, that's probably why teams get a little flustered when they see it, because they don't see it very often, and because they don't see it very often, they don't practice facing it very often. So it makes sense, but it's not necessarily something to be feared. The players still have to execute. The opposition still has to execute. If they're going to play a zone defense, they still have to execute it. And it's just a matter of you imposing your will still against the opposition. Doesn't matter if they're in man or zone.
Do you subscribe to, in baseball, it's pitching? I think in college basketball, especially from this point on, it's guards. Do you subscribe to that?
I think so. Because there are there are fewer and fewer, it seems like, every year, not only at the college level, but I think it's pretty much at every level. It's a guard-oriented scheme, and the better your guards are, the better you'll be, and you'll go as far as your guards take you. And right now, Memphis has a couple of good ones in Alex Lomax and Tyler Harris. You could throw Lester Quinones in there, and Mark Giannotto and I have been sort of crunching some numbers over the past couple of weeks, and even though Boogie Ellis and Damian Ball haven't necessarily lit the world on fire, Memphis is actually not quite as bad when they're on the floor as it may seem to the naked eye. They actually, Boogie Ellis and Damian Ball actually do a lot of other good things that just don't necessarily show up on the stat sheet. But in the plus minus column, they help the team. It shows up there at least, and so Memphis has a pretty good stable.
The patience against the zone, the patience for the Tigers, and limiting those turnovers, that's going to be big tonight and going forward.
Yeah, you got to hit it's almost like they're gonna. The impression that I got is Tulsa's going to dare Memphis to beat them, shooting the three, and it seems like that's a good strategy since Memphis hasn't necessarily been the best 3-point shooting team, or as good of a 3-point shooting team as a lot of people assume they would be. So it seems like a good game plan for Tulsa. But I do think the Tigers have gotten better. Lester Quinones is a big part of that. He's shooting at a much better clip. DJ Jeffries is shooting the ball well from three. Precious Achiuwa is even knocking down the shots that he's getting, the one or two shots that he's getting from outside over the past 3-4 weeks. And then, of course, yes, the turnovers. Memphis is one of they turn the ball over more than just about everybody in Division I. So that to me is going to be the biggest key to tonight's game. But
maybe lucky to be 14-3, Jason.
Yeah. When you think about it like that, for sure. But another stat that I uncovered is actually the turnover rate. Memphis's turnover rate is actually lower when they face a zone defense than when they face a man. Now, part of that's going to be the small sample size, the lopsided sample size. But they seem to turn the ball over less when they're facing a zone team than the alternatives. So who knows? Maybe it'll work out for them tonight, and you'll see a more complete game.
Jason, I knew you would, but you can tell. We can tell every week when we visit with you and when we read you. This beat, it makes you in this audience, this Tiger fandom, it makes you have to do the deep dive. I love the stuff you and Mark have done on this deep dive on the analysis of the season, because your readership, the listenership, they want it more.
Yeah, and that's the reason why we do it. We want to give the people what they want, and it helps that we are also basketball fans. These are things that we want to know, and so we yeah. So we assume that what we are interested in, others would also be interested in, and hopefully we're right. But yeah, no, it's we all love getting down into the minutia of it because it's telling. It really helps. It makes everybody more informed, and that's always good.
Man, Jason, what a great reporter! Darn facts. You're going to come with them.
I appreciate that. No, that's there's no doubt about that.
Jason Munns from the Commercial Appeal, our guest. He joins us every Wednesday at this time talking Tiger basketball and a rare weekend off. How was Camp Penny in that time from the end of the Cincinnati win, 11-point win last Thursday night, through the departure yesterday, maybe even the walkthrough today in Tulsa?
Well, I think somebody asked me this earlier, and I think there's really only, it's not like they were in a funk necessarily, Memphis, but they're 2-2 in their last 4 games. They were what, 12-1 before that, so they're 2-2 in their last 4 games. They've not scored more than 68 points in those 4 games, and so there wasn't really. If a layoff was going to do anything, a little mini layoff, almost like a bye week, a bye date sort of thing, if it was going to do anything, you have to assume it's going to help. And even though Penny says DJ's recovered from the flu and Damien's recovered from the flu, and I think they are, but you got to think that an extra day or 2 or 3 or whatever it was can only help. And I don't know. I think that it came at a pretty good time because, like I said, being 2-2 in their last 4 games and kind of a little bit, sagging on offense, gives them a chance to figure things out, get their feet back, their legs back underneath them a little bit. And they were out of school too, so they were able to, just sort of clear their heads, clear their minds, get their legs back under them, and we'll see. We'll see if that's the case here in just a little bit. But that would be where I stand on that. That's kind of what I'm thinking, is that the layoff couldn't really do anything but help.
On the offensive end, in a set after a rebound, and you have time to set. I'm not talking about in transition. What do the Tigers? What do they need to? Who and what do they need to do first when they get into an offensive set to be successful the rest of the year?
Protect the ball. That's first and foremost, and move the ball. I mean, it's hard to do. The more you move it, the more of a chance there is to turn it over. But I think they need to do both. I think they need to move the ball better, but also protect it better. I think that's the key to everything. I mean, they're averaging what? It's around 18, 19, something like that turnovers a game. If they can, shave, if over their next, 12, 13, 14 games, whatever there's left in the regular season, if they can average around 14 turnovers a game during that stretch, then I think they're going to be just fine.
And make free throws.
I really do. Yeah, free throws too. That's something that's really, really, really been a glaring problem. And you worry about that because that shows up more than anything in big games. Free throws. That's one of those things that you can really just if you're not doing it well in big games, it shows up. You put it's underlined in all caps and all that sort of stuff.
Is.
So they do need to get that under control. But also, if they can just turn the ball over less, just a little bit, than what they are right now. I'm not saying they need to cut it in half or anything like that because that's a little bit unrealistic. But if they can shave it down just a hair, I think they will be a much better team. And then, of course, playing the right people. Going with consistent, shortening the rotation, keeping it consistent, putting the best players in the best positions. I think will do wonders for this team.
You mentioned the rotation, and look, I was with everybody else last year during the signing period and over the summer and maybe even into the Bahamas trip. And you're looking at that roster, and you're just thinking, you got 10, 11, maybe 12 guys, maybe 13 guys that can play. And it's why we always need to kind of for the bungee cord to swing back. And remember, as the year goes along through, I didn't see the James Wiseman stuff coming. Nobody did. But you're going to lose a player or two for a reason or two or three. And then as you get into this time of year and for sure into February and by tournament time, I don't know why, but it always boils down to about 7 or 8 guys, Jason.
Yeah, it does. And, it's nothing against any one guy, but the numbers – it's in black and white.
It's just there.
The team is better when Isaiah Maurice is playing less, and the team is better when Lance Thomas is playing fewer minutes, and the team is better when you've got Alex Lomax and Tyler Harris on the floor with DJ Jeffries and Precious Achiuwa. I mean, those 4 are pretty much the key to the whole thing. You can do subtle, maneuvers around that, but when it matters most, those are 4 of the 5 guys need to be those 4, and I think the sooner Memphis kind of goes to that and sticks to that, the better off they'll be.
Last night, the brawl in college basketball and breaking right now. Silvio De Sousa suspended for 12 games. James Love for K-State gets 8. Antonio Gordon for Kansas State and David McCormack. Antonio Gordon, gets 3, and David McCormack for KU, he gets 2. I thought both sides got out light with that punishment.
Yeah, I have to think so. I mean, there's no place for that sort of thing in really any sport, but college basketball is certainly no exception. I mean, it's
the proximity
of
the
ugly.
fans. Yeah, the fans are just so close, Jason. That this is extreme, and thank goodness it didn't happen. And calmer heads prevailed, and whoever the assistant coach that got to the chair, because it was locked and loaded. And I probably shouldn't use those words. He had it up ready to swing, and I want to take back locked and loaded. I do. He had the chair up over his head, and he was getting ready to wield it, and it was knocked out of his hands. If that hits one fan, never mind if it hits another player, that's bad too. But one of your customers, and to see your actual customers laid out on the ground, you just don't want that in any sport.
Yeah, if that makes contact with anybody, it's over. I mean, we saw it in the NFL this past year when
sure did.
Myles Garrett, was throwing that helmet around and clocked Mason Rudolph.
Yeah,
I mean, there's still no word as to when he'll be reinstated. So, and heaven forbid it hits a fan, and you're looking at charges and all sorts of stuff. So it almost looked to me watching that replay that when whoever it was that sort of tugged on the stool, it almost like you could almost see it on the face of the player where he was like, it almost like
where judgment prevailed.
Oh, I shouldn't be doing this.
It did. It did.
If nobody had sort of grabbed at that stool, he probably would have hit somebody with it. And just thank goodness for the person who had the wherewithal to sort of intervene there and save him from himself as best they could. Because again, those punishments were pretty tough, but they would have been even worse, harsher.
You're not going to have that tonight, but you usually have something wild in Tulsa through the years with the Tigers there. Not as much when the Tigers play them here. Usually kind of always blast them here, but there's usually some zaniness out there. And a late game tonight, and then back at home Saturday against SMU. Jason, thank you for your time today, and safe travels late into tonight and into tomorrow for you. Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
You got it. Jason Munns on the road with the Tigers for the commercial appeal on the Tiger Beat Tigers in Tulsa tonight. What's a great way to kick off 2020? Well, it's a new All-Star Chevrolet. You cannot believe all the zero finance deals and cash back on the 2019s and the new 2020s. 0 for 72 on most new Chevy Silverados, 2019 or 2020s. Plus, you get thousands off MSRP and bonus earnings when you finance with GM. And every Silverado truck you're looking for is at All-Star Chevrolet right now. So if you're ready to kick off 2020 in your new Chevy, head to Olive Branch right now. Not the Pike, not South Haven, not Mount Moriah or Collierville. It's got to be Olive Branch. And everybody at All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch, they got one job to make sure you get the best deal, have more fun, and enjoyable in record time. Be sure to ask about all the deals on the new Blazers and Traverses. Find new roads to All-Star Chevy in Olive Branch today, or check out allstarautogroup.com. When we come back, we're going to look at some of the headlines from sports just for today. What's the satirical site that's the rave among the kids?
The Onion, right?
The Onion. Have you ever been to it?
No.
I've never been
I don't
once.
think I'm considered a kid anymore. I'm not hip and young anymore.
I didn't throw it at you. I just said I meant you for you. You're closer to them than I am.
Kinda.
Kinda. But it's almost the headlines today are like something goofy out of a satirical site, out of the Onion. And it's every day now in sports. I mean, you think of the breaking news since 3 o'clock. I mean, it happens fast. At 3 o'clock, the Eli Manning news was breaking. Now we've had the news of the suspensions formally levied. I know it was a little earlier today, but the Mets close to naming a baseball manager being hired in January. So something crazy has happened. And we're going to go through some of those. Also want to go through some of the Tigers' schedule, particularly Georgia. Georgia's not helping the Tigers out at all. Another loss for them last night. It was to Kentucky, but it's not playing them. You got to beat them for it to really help you in the moving parts of the RPI and all that kind of stuff out there in college basketball. So the Tigers needing some help. The biggest thing they could have done is defeat Georgia, but they didn't, and I think it was largely due to the absence of DJ Jeffries. That's fair, isn't it? That's not homerism, is it?
No, I think it's completely fair, but unfortunately, when the selection committee sits down in March, they're not going to even think about it.
It won't even be brought up.
No, it won't even be an asterisk at the bottom of a page.
It won't. And tonight, the Zion Mania will overtake the NBA tonight, so the battle is joined for Rookie of the Year with Ja Morant. Just fine by me. Ja Morant on the floor tonight with the Grizzlies in Boston. Busy sports night tonight, but we're busy the rest of the way. Stay with us until 6 o'clock. You're listening to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats on AM 560, 96.1, and 87.7.
Spend your lunch with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy on Sports 56 middays, delivered by FedEx. Weekdays from 10 to 1 on Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7.
There's a new commissary in town in Collierville. Germantown Commissary is doubling. Yeah, they're still going to have the old Germantown Commissary by the tracks, but now there's a huge new Germantown Commissary in Collierville at Poplar and Houston Levee Road. It's huge, too. There's a drive-through. There's plenty of parking, no telephone pole to get in your way, a cool patio. It's right by the track, so the tradition continues. And this is a tradition that's been around forever. That commissary is famous for hickory-smoked, slow-cooked Memphis-style barbecue. They've got a private party room at the new one in Collierville. Self-catering still continues. Party packs for $5.95. Basically, the great ribs, the great pulled shoulder, the great deviled eggs. Everything is there in Collierville and Germantown now. So there is now a Germantown and Collierville style of barbecue. It's called Germantown Commissary.
Make your day smoking with the Big Green Egg. You can smoke, bake, roast, sear, and grill, all with a lifetime warranty. Ceramic never rusts, and the easy, accurate temperature control gives you the greatest range of any grill. Make your next grill your last with the Big Green Egg. Available at these nearby locations: Hamilton Fireplace Shop, 4462 Summer Avenue; Germantown Hardware Company, 2083 South Germantown Road; Garden Spas and Pool, 9393 Poplar Avenue; and East Memphis Ace Hardware, 5143 Quince Road.
Hi, I'm Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. Can anyone explain to me why anyone would care how I measure your roof? We have all heard about measuring your roof from outer space. Well, to be honest, there are aerial pictures that are taken every 4 years that can be used to measure a building, but it's not from outer space. Besides, no one, and I mean no one, can tell you what's wrong with your roof or even if you need one by using pictures that might be 4 years old. If you would rather do business with a family-owned and operated business with a lifelong tie to Memphis that refuses to mislead or use gimmicks, please give me a call. Best products, best warranties, and the best customer service we know how to provide. Fiveash Roofing, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Memphis Tigers home team. 5 Roofing. Fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
5 Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Experience true freedom in a Can-Am off-road vehicle. How? Through the Can-Am Holiday Sales Blitz that's happening now. From the valleys to the hills, from the dunes to the farm, they're ready. And they won't let anything get in their way, because this is where you ride best. Get to Olive Branch Motorsports for the Holiday Blitz sales event and get yourself a new Can-Am off-road vehicle at a great price. For a limited time, get up to $3,000 off on select 2019 models. Olive Branch Motorsports, 5656 Goodman Road, or online at obmotorcycleatv.com. Hewlett & Dunn, nestled on Old Town Square in Collierville, has 4,000 square feet of the largest boot selection in 200 miles. International boot legends Luke Casey, Double H, Red Wing, Ariat, Justin, and Tony Lama. Hewlett & Dunn has rubber hunting boots by Dry Shod, and recently has expanded the selection of safety work boots. Filson Hunting Gear, biggest selection in 3 states, and now carrying Duckhead. Western wear, hunting attire, jeans, belts, hats, and more at 111 North Center Street, Collierville on Old Town Square. You need to stop by Hewlett & Dunn? You bet your boots.
Got something you want to get off your chest?
You better have a backup plan.
Want to join the conversation?
Someone needs to tell him he has to grow up.
Join us on the First Bank phone lines at 360-8255 or the First Bank text line at 67129. Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
67129 at the First Bank text line, and this sums it up pretty good. Texter says the assistant coach pretty much saved that player's college basketball career by intervening. That could have been really bad, really, really bad. 2 reallys there. And Texter, you are correct. And he did, but he did. So intent might have been one thing, but actuality another, and the punishment being levied by the Big 12 and by college basketball at KU, and I think so far off pretty light. Again, the timing award of the year was the Illinois guard last night, Alan Griffin. That was the night to have his incident. Not many have noticed.
I mean, honestly, I didn't notice until earlier today, probably about around 3 o'clock, until really started doing everything, getting ready for the show. But I think Kansas is definitely going to get off easy like they always do. I personally, and I know it's not going to happen, I'd like to see them all be served their suspensions at the same time like it's supposed to be. You're supposed to be suspended the next game. You don't get to pick and choose when you're suspended. And, heck, make Bill Self go to the rec at Kansas and pick 10 people to play. Fill out a team Saturday.
I think so, too. I think you would learn more that way. But I know this year at Mississippi State, in the academic issue they had and how they staggered it over games, it destroyed their chemistry. I think that hurt State more than maybe just, biting the bullet and taking it 3 games in a row and then knowing who you had week to week. I thought it really hurt State and ultimately hurt Joe Moorhead.
Yeah, it ultimately did. But we just talked about how it won't even be a footnote with DJ Jeffries and the loss to Georgia. If they do get everybody suspended and that is the situation they're in, it's the headline on Kansas's resume. It's like it never even happened. It doesn't even affect their ranking.
2 spots? Would they go from 1 to 3? Or 2 spots anywhere, 3 to 5, wherever?
No. If they had to play with a bunch of rec guys, it would not affect their ranking.
Oh, it would be a charming story.
It would be almost what 30 for 30.
Dr. Naismith and Fogg Allen and Dean Smith and Roy Williams had in mind.
This
for
is
KU
what they
basketball.
envisioned, that any student could play at the University of Kansas.
Let's bring back the Peach Basket for a game.
We
Saturday
might as well
against Tennessee. Won't that be cozy? That's exactly how it will kind of get varnished over with KU. Saturday in the SEC Big 12 Challenge, there's some really good matchups, including that one at Tennessee. Tennessee's just not very good, though, but they win by 25 last night over Ole Miss. Look, it may have all happened a year too soon or a year earlier than everybody expected or wanted. You don't turn it down when you get it. But that year Kermit Davis Jr. had last year, he might have been better served to have this year, last year, and last year, this year.
Yeah, ultimately,
but you didn't have Terrence Davis this year.
No, you want to build up. You don't want to skyrocket, drop down, skyrocket. You want to be on a natural incline. So where this year, when it is a down year, makes last year kind of seem like a fluke.
Could Eric Musselman maybe be having it too soon? His dad a little bit had that as a general manager of the expansion T-Wolves. He was too good too early, and it hurt them in drafting spots. Is Taylor Jenkins a little bit having that?
I think you can definitely make an argument for it. And with, Eric Musselman and guys like Taylor Jenkins, it really gets the crowd of the get rid of the last guy a lot of momentum, saying, well, look, he's obviously off to a great start. I mean, we definitely should have gotten rid of Mike Anderson, and we definitely should have gotten rid of J.B. Bickerstaff and Taylor Jenkins' situation, but you got to back it up the second year. Otherwise, it just looks like a fluke.
Sports, it's crazy because we were conditioned here locally for that Grizzly win total being something in the 20s this year. Well, it's probably going to be something in the 30s. What if we come back and next year there's some slippage and it's the win total in the 20s next year?
I think next year it's easier to sell the Grizzlies that next year due to the fact of you can have two things. Well, Ja had such an amazing rookie campaign. There's no way he can do that game in and game out for 2 straight years. Sophomore slump. Taylor Jenkins, still learning the game. Hey, we finally got that Boston pick out from under us. We don't have that we don't have that holding over our head. So we actually have a pick this year where it could mean something good in the lottery. I mean, I haven't looked at the projected 2021 lottery. I think that Jalen Green guy is up there in Cunningham. I think are the notorious 1 and 2 picks for that draft, but it's easier to sell that way, I think. You can blame it on the sophomore slumps between Jenkins and Ja, and, hey, at least we finally got rid of the Boston pick.
Saturday in the SEC Big 12 Challenge, Mizzou goes to West Virginia. West Virginia will be heavy favored in that. Iowa State goes to Auburn. LSU goes to Texas. Mississippi State goes to Norman to play Boomer Sooner. And we mentioned a lot of times today, Tennessee goes to Lawrence to play KU. Oklahoma State in College Station against Texas A&M. TCU and Arkansas in an Old Southwest Conference matchup. And Kentucky goes to Lubbock to play Texas Tech. And Kansas State with the suspended players, they visit Tuscaloosa to play Alabama. And number 1, Baylor, they go to Gainesville to play, you'd have to say right now, very disappointing Florida team this year, but still a lot of year left. For Ole Miss, no Big 12 Challenge this year. They play at home on they play on the road on Saturday at Georgia. Ole Miss is 0-5 in SEC play. That's just hard to avoid. 0-5 by 10, by 4 after being up 11 at home against Arkansas, by 16, by 4 after being up 6 at home to LSU, and last night by 25.
Just did not see that one coming because we all kind of agreed earlier in the week and going into last week that, well, let's face it, Tennessee's just not that good of a team. Tigers, while it's still a great road win, I think still considered a quadrant 2 win at this moment. It's still a good thing to win, but it's not helping out your resume like you thought it was going to at the time when it was 2 ranked opponents. And Ole Miss now definitely not helping your resume, losing to that team by 25 and 0-5 in the SEC. But going back to the Big 12 SEC matchups, I want to ask you, is Shaka Smart on the hot seat? It's got to be, right? 12-6 right now, but is in 7th place in the Big 12.
All right, they go to the new building, not next year, but the following year. Not opening night of 2021, but opening night of 21-22. Maybe next year, if he wants it, huge payout. A college football payout. A payout that has that AD, or the former AD, Steve Patterson, in even worse reputation with the Texas fans. Boy, he did a number on them. And an AD can, for good or for bad. The Tigers got a great one in Tom Bowen. And they have a great one with the job he did and left for Laird Veach. I thought the whole walk of his tenure was better than he found it for Ross Bjork.
Without a doubt, better.
But then, if nothing else, the building finally getting out of tad bad, if nothing else. Now, there was a lot else, though. There was a whole lot else, but some of it not of his making. Jeff Long at Fayetteville and Steve Patterson at Texas, that's 2 that almost rim-wrecked them.
Yeah, I mean, Jeff Hung almost put Arkansas in the grave.
Out of business.
Yes.
The two main business, I know baseball has kept thriving, and it's the largest percentage of profit in an athletics department, but you can't make it on baseball. We all know that, and nobody's really trying to. For Georgia, that team that beat the Tigers first Saturday of the new year, they're 1-4 in the SEC. They've lost those 4 games by the 4 losses by 9, 22, 32, and 10. Now, 2 of those, the one by 9 and the one by 10, they were both against Kentucky, one in Athens and one in Lexington. But then 22 and 32, in the other 2 losses, Georgia's just not very good. To these headlines, I mean, you almost could do real or is it at the Onion headlines on these. Today, I saw this headline. Gus Malzahn gives control over play calling to Chad Morris. Is Gus Malzahn watched football the last 2 years? Why would you hand over control of anything to a guy that didn't win an SEC game, won 4 total, and that was against a bunch of nobodies, and you're going to give him control of your offense at Auburn where he always seems to stay in trouble?
Yeah, and a guy who never really seems to give up control of the offense. That's why Kenny Dillingham, not to say that he was a puppet, I mean, very smart football mind,
Lashley.
But kind of their OC as a puppet, a guy that will let Gus do everything that Gus wants to do. Gus gets the final call on every single play if that's the way Gus wants it. So I think this honestly sounds more like an Onion to me because I don't think Gus is ever truly. He might say he's going to, but I don't think he'll ever truly give Chad Morris the final say.
Here's another one. Derek Jeter misses out on unanimous vote for Hall of Fame. Then there never will be another one after the one and only one last year. How does he miss out on 100%? Sterling reputation, even the parting gifts when he was single, this became New York City lore. No scandal in New York City.
That's crazy just to think about how many years he spent in New York.
You ought to go in
and you avoid the
100% for that.
You obviously should. And all of his off the field with the women, there was no scandal in any of that. I mean, just
everybody left happy.
Yes, everybody was happy. Nice handshake. See you later. You had your fun. I had mine. We're good to go. But for you to get through a city like New York that long and win that many games and be that well respected, not just by your fan base, but by everyone's fan base. I mean, I hate the Yankees being an Orioles fan, being in that AL East, but not 1% of my body hates Derek Jeter.
Even grudging, you have to respect him from Red Sox fans. Last night, another headline. Punches, shoving, and a stool involved in KU Kansas State. We don't need any stools involved. No outside theatrics. And some have said that the player shouldn't have tried to steal the ball. Some have said the KU player that had the ball stolen from him shouldn't have blocked the shot. I say yes on both of them, because how many times do you have the ones that are saying don't do that, then we'll preach at you, play a hard 40 minutes. Play it till that last second's off the clock.
I think both of them were uncalled for. I'm not going to pick one that
So when the team stands down, you stand down?
You stand down. You're defeated. You know you're defeated. Just be a good loser about it. Don't try to make a statement. And I don't know what statement you're making other than the fact that you're a sore loser and you want to be one of those guys, give me my ball and I'm going home type of statement. That's the only statement that player was going to make. And then if you're Kansas, laugh it off, man. You get the ball stolen. So what? They get 2 more points. You probably already cover the spread if you got money back at the dorm on it. I mean, you're good. Just laugh it off. Don't let things be that aggressive about it.
And for Kansas,
just avoid the situation.
And it's very easy for them to do that with the 2 histories, with the all-time series. Just, you're Kansas State. What of you?
You can laugh them off.
Go get on your bus and drive back to the Little Apple. Yeah, that's probably the best thing they could have done. Another headline. After beating Kentucky earlier in season, Walter McCarty fired at Evansville for, quote, misconduct, end of quote, off court with members of the, quote, campus community, end of quote. That was a real headline. That students are teachers, isn't it?
That's what it kind of means. Co-eds or the faculty.
I mean, that's the campus community.
Yeah, it'd have to be co-eds or faculty.
It's not something impropriety with a statue on campus.
I hope not.
I hope not either. Another headline. Todd Graham hired at Hawaii, 5th job in 14 years. He always gets a job and never does anything. What's the stops? Rice, Pitt, Arizona State.
Arizona State.
We're forgetting one somewhere in there.
I'll look
Tulsa.
Yes.
Tulsa.
Yes, Tulsa as well.
He was at Tulsa and to coach at Arizona State and now at Hawaii. Another headline. Dave referenced it yesterday. L.A. City Council unanimously passes resolution to strip the Astros and Red Sox of titles and award them to Dodgers.
That's ridiculous.
It is. As I said yesterday, I can only assume in Los Angeles, crime rate is at 0 if you have time to do anything like that. Police, fire, school teachers, all salaries going through the roof, no budgetary problems, no homeless problems, no trash problems, no problems at all. Streets of gold before you have time to get to that and do it unanimously.
Ultimately, I'm guessing it's probably an election year for the council men and women over in L.A. trying to get their constituents who don't think about them until they get into the polling box, because I can't tell you who my councilman is for my district of the city of Memphis. So, I mean, that's all it is. It was a political move trying to bring up some support. That way, when the person gets in their poll box, they look down at the names and go, oh, I think I heard about this person.
He wanted to give it to the Dodgers.
He wanted to give the trophy to the Dodgers. He's all L.A. Let's vote for him.
I knew a politician one time that took on the ever so tough issue of taking on the IRS. Boy, he's out there battling the good fight, isn't he?
Fighting the good fight.
I mean, who's going to defend the IRS?
Nobody.
I mean, just absolutely nobody. Another headline, Tiger Woods in first 2020 event going for career win number 83. A lot of people that play on the PGA Tour, I won't say one, and not just not a major, just win 1 or 2 times or 3. 3 for sure, on tour in a career. A handful of just career wins. Win the Greater Milwaukee Open. Win at Hartford. He's won 83. This will be the 83rd win in 15 of them majors.
Just phenomenal. I mean, just to think that while he has had a very long career, that you can go out there and be a contender week in and week out for 4 days.
Through.
I mean, 4 days of golf. I mean, we've all had good days of golf, but I don't know if I've ever had 4 good days consecutively or even 4 good rounds.
I've had a good 3 or 4 holes. I don't know if I've ever had a good day.
I've had a good 9.
And one last one. This is legit. This is not from the Onion. This is a real headline today. Team wearing white jerseys has won 13 of last 15 Super Bowls. That should be your trend, shouldn't it?
Yeah, it should be. And I think the AFC team is the home team. Don't they get to pick jerseys? So if I'm sure. Kansas City, I'm bringing out the whites.
Yeah, and boy, if they would wear all white, but they lost Super Bowl I wearing all white to the Packers. They won in the red tops, white trousers to invoke John Ward, the white playing trousers, when they won the Super Bowl against the Vikings.
Well, then that's a tough call. Do you go with history or do you go with trends?
Is it their choice?
I think so. As the home team, I believe you get to pick the jersey.
But these headlines, and I just wonder what tomorrow's will be. Because every day it is.
I mean, I've already seen some very crazy headlines that I'm going to share a couple of them in crunch time. But it's been a crazy day.
It has been. Not crazy at all. Great place to be is at Jason's Deli. And for the Super Bowl, for the big game, take 2, for the big game party that you're hosting at your house, let Jason's Deli be the caterer for it. No order too large catering, anytime, anywhere, healthy. First franchise in the nation to be trans fat free. Jason's Deli, all about choice. You can have the choice of all those salads, all those breads, spreads, meats, cheeses, the soups, all the great sandwiches like the pastrami sandwich, the hot corned beef sandwich. Dave says it's the best hot corned beef sandwich in town. The Deli Cowboy, the Beef Eater, and the salads. Mesa chicken salad, nutty mix-up salad, the chicken Caesar salad, and my favorite, the taco salad. Speaking of salads, great salad bar. Over 30 items just on the salad bar. Again, catering anytime, anywhere. And if you're at one of these locations like Ridgeway Road, Poplar and Highland, Olive Branch, and Cordova, free ice cream in any of the locations. Check them out online as well at jasonsdeli.com. We come back, we wrap up this day with Taco Bell Crunch Time. That's next on Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats on Real Sports Talk, AM 560, 96.1, and 87.7.
Want to get your voice heard? Hit us up on the First Bank phone line or First Bank text line.
The construction reduction event is on at Wolf Chase Honda. Exciting changes are in the works and inventory must be reduced. Get the best deals right now on all remaining 2019 Hondas while they last. Every new car, every certified, every used car, price to go. Get pre-approved now at wolfchasehonda.com. Wolf Chase Honda is expanding and our prices are dropping. Don't miss these savings. Act now. This huge construction reduction event ends soon.
For the best lineup of quality, fuel-efficient, and fun-to-drive vehicles, get to Wolf Chase Honda and Wolf Chase Nissan. Over 1,000 new certified and pre-owned vehicles in one great location. Catch the savings now during our huge model year-end sales event. Score an amazing deal at Wolf Chase Honda and Wolf Chase Nissan and get to the game in style at Germantown Road and Highway 64. Family-owned since 1981.
And the coach calls timeout.
Wait a minute, you can't call timeout when you have leaks and Mother Nature is roaring through your home.
A technical foul from outer space may be in order.
Don't know about that, but we can measure your roof from outer space at BrianElderRoofing.com.
So if you need repairs or wondering if you think you may have a claim,
call me before you call your insurance company. And we've got 0% interest for 60 months with approved credit. We won't try to sell you a new roof if all you need is a repair.
My friend Chris Price, a longtime donor of the U of M. Call him, 867-0303 or BrianElderRoofing.com.
God bless America, Penny and Mike, and go Tigers.
And now back to the game.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elders Roofing Solutions.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
Did you learn your ABCs when you were a kid? Well, as a grown-up, it's time to learn your CBDs, as in CBD edibles, oil tincture, pain cream, and beauty products. All found at Your CBD Store, with 3 locations, Poplar Avenue, North Germantown Parkway, and Goodman Road East. You'll find all natural, organic, and non-GMO products. Need to learn more? Your CBD Store has a knowledgeable and friendly staff that can answer questions, help with choices, and put you at ease about your CBDs. Your CBD Store, with 3 locations, Poplar Avenue, Cordova, and South Haven. Your CBD Store, making it as easy for you as ABC CBD.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that?
Take questions again for the student athletes at this time, please.
Goodbye! Hello,
What's happening, big dog? How you doing?
Is this thing working? It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Boop, boop, boop. That's what you're getting. Time for Taco Bell Crunch Time. Taco Bell, home of the crispy tortilla chips, topped with a double portion of either seasoned beef or shredded chicken, plus refried beans, nacho cheese sauce, reduced fat sour cream, guacamole, and a 3-cheese blend. Nachos Bel Grande, heaping portion of chips, topped with ground beef, tomatoes, beans, nacho cheese sauce, and a dollop of sour cream. Taco Bell, home to great food you get on your way home real fast, and they bring you crunch time every day. Dave mentioned it. Larry Walker made it into Cooperstown at the last second from way downtown with the clock ticking. He is the 7th all-time to get in just under the wire. Edgar Martinez last year, 2017, Tim Raines, 2009, Jim Rice, 1975, Ralph Kiner, 1968, Ducky Medwick with the Cardinals, the last National Leaguer to win the Triple Crown, and in 1967, Red Ruffing. Give me everything you know on Red Ruffing.
One hell of a ball player.
He was one of the great hitters of all time to be a pitcher, probably along with Warren Spahn, the two best hitting pitchers of all time. Very good. What'd you learn today?
Learned today that Gritty of the Flyers could give the Philly Fanatic a run for his money as it came out today that Gritty is being investigated by Philly detectives for assault against a 13-year-old fan last November. Chris Greenwald, a 22-year season ticket holder, claims that at a meet and greet with Gritty last November, his son, Brandon, playfully patted Gritty on the head after the photo was taken. And as Brandon, his son, walked away, Gritty got out of his chair, took a running start, and punched his son as hard as he could in the back. But the Flyers have come out saying that there is no video evidence, no eyewitnesses. Gritty does not remember punching anybody in the back. Nobody is coming forward to agree with Greenwald's statement. So I don't think he is done.
Could have done without this. I hate it every year at SEC Media Days when someone I know, and he gets credentialed, but he's very pro Ole Miss, and he always votes Ole Miss to win not only the SEC West, but to win it all. In the last few years, they couldn't even have gone to Atlanta if they had won the West. And he does, and it makes some people enraged. I mean, one year there was a group, trying to hunt down who did this. I now know how they feel because I want to find the guy that didn't vote for Derek Jeter. But more than that, I want to find the guy that voted for Brad Penny. What are you thinking? What could you have done without?
I could have done without the bizarre and strange news that Mr. Peanut has died at a young age of 104 in the new Planters Peanut Super Bowl. And it shows Mr. Peanut attempting to save the lives of Wesley Snipe and Matt Walsh. According to the estate of Mr. Peanut, he died doing what he did best, having people's backs when they need him.
What will we remember him most for? This is simple. And I'll be here all week. No. Being salty. I'll be here all week.
Tip your waitress.
Try the veal. Keeping a close eye tonight on the Tigers in Tulsa against TU and that pesky zone. The unveiling of Zion, finally. And the Grizzlies in Boston on the parquet against the Celtics. San Antonio, the opponent in the Zion debut. Either side loses kind of good for the Grizzlies. I guess we prefer it to be San Antonio. Clippers against Atlanta. Can Kawhi Leonard continue at this pace? The last 6 games, 36, 39, 32, 43, 30, and 36 for him. St. Bonnie at number 7, Dayton, and in the AAC, Cincinnati at Temple in about 5 minutes, ECU at SMU, and, of course, Tigers in Tulsa. Guard play will be everything for the Tigers tonight for them to be able to win that game. We'll be back tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock. Dave will be with us then after a night calling the action in Tulsa. For Dave, for Drew, I'm Brett. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Good night.
DeSoto Auto Sales specializes in late model cars with low mileage. They have the highest standards in the car industry. All of their cars are test-driven, checked out from head to toe. Unlimited inventory, every make and model. And if it's not on the lot, they'll find it for you. Walk in the door of DeSoto Auto Sales, 5704 Goodman Road. Within 45 minutes, you can test your car, get credit approval, and finish paperwork within an hour. No shortcuts at DeSoto Auto Sales. Kind, courteous employees, a down-home environment. DeSoto Auto Sales cares about your time. Lowest prices in a 350-mile radius. We're living in a world today where time does matter. Visit them online. Check out their referrals. DeSotoAutoSales.com. Very proud to serve DeSoto County and other surrounding areas. DeSoto Auto Sales, 5704 Goodman Road. Call 662-890-7184. 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto Auto Sales.
Make your day smoking with the Big Green Egg. You can smoke, bake, roast, sear, and grill, all with a lifetime warranty. Ceramic never rusts, and the easy, accurate temperature control gives you the greatest range of any grill. Make your next grill your last with the Big Green Egg. Available at these nearby locations: Hamilton Fireplace Shop, 4462 Summer Avenue; Germantown Hardware Company, 2083 South Germantown Road; Garden Spas and